Nobody cared who I was till I put on the mask.
Let's watch Jack Doherty cry for a bit. Fucking hate that guy. Like, sorry, I'm like, I know, I know in real life a couple of streamers that have made it really big, and I'm jealous as fuck. I don't know Doherty in real life, but I'm definitely jealous of like the level of fame he had by just being a complete fucking jackass. Like he's lucky he didn't kill anyone. But if he hadn't been stopped now, he would have killed someone, if not himself, by accident. All right, so let's watch him whine like a little bitch.
It's safe to say this disrespectful IRL streamer is in denial that he destroyed his own career. Once
Unrelated, Tozy's great. He's what I aim to be. Like in terms of like content put out, like a amount of content put out, the quality. God, and again, as much as I love the boys, like they have 309,000. Atozi's got 1.7. God damn, it's impressive. It's very impressive. Like I'm not gonna pretend like I'm not jealous. I am, but I don't hate him for it. I'm jealous.
he acted like he was on the top of the world, harassing people in public for his stream content, then hiding behind his bodyguard when anyone confronted him about his behavior. And now his luck is seemingly running out, as he just had a complete meltdown after being banned again and having his appeal for his ban being denied. So it truly seems like the career he once had has now been taken away from him yet again.
It always works.
Today we're talking about Jack Doherty, likely the second most disliked streamer in the world. After getting back from covering the
first is Johnny Somali.
I realized Jack has been imploding on social media over the last couple of weeks. So remember when Jack said this in his comeback stream about 2 months ago?
But I'm gonna be good. I'm not gonna be too cocky. Just for the first week, just because everyone that didn't believe in me, man. But listen, I'm gonna be way more humble moving forward, and I'm never gonna fuck up again. I know I've said it a million times, but trust me, bro. It was an accident. What happened? What got me banned was an accident. Accidents happen, bro. That's why it's called an accident.
Okay, have fun. I don't buy it. I guess we'll see how that...
Driving unsafe and on your phone and streaming it's not an accident. That's just bad decision making. And these are the consequences of your actions, so fuck off.
That ages. Yeah. That ages like milk left out in a hot car because he's banned again. And you can't even claim that what happened was an accident this time. If you've been following my series of videos covering Jack Doherty's situation, you probably remember the incident that forever changed his life as he knew it, the McLaren car crash, which resulted him in getting a permanent ban from Kick for reckless driving. And the quotation marks were there because he was unbanned. But not before the desperate attempts to get money from his fans through launching meme coin pump and dumps. Obviously, Kick somehow decided to unban him after 3 months of his supposed permanent ban. And obviously, you just saw the clip of Jack saying from now on, he was going to be a humble, down-to-earth person that was going to behave on the platform. Well, his career is basically a streaming equivalent of a zombie.
God, I just found the tweet that Ricky and Elliot were talking about with the Tesla thing. Sorry. Actually, at least 7 cameras all around each of our cars. Video footage is not shared with us, by the way. It's saved locally. It doesn't leave. They're absolutely watching you do stuff. Also, like, okay, I don't think they're recording everything immediately because the sheer amount of data that I think that's more than like YouTube's daily output with the number of Teslas on the road. And again, 7 cameras each. Like you're not recording all of it, but you have live access to it. You absolutely do. Yeah. Bad car. Bad car.
Zombie as it just keeps on dying and coming back to life, but each time he returns, it's more decayed and brain dead than ever because the new ban comes in just 9 days after Kick reversed the previous permaban. on January 9th of this year. And I say perma-ban because you never know with Kick, clearly. Because the last one was supposed to be permanent, but who knows? But either way, bro's like, yeah, I learned my lesson. I'm going to behave. And then he didn't even last like 2 weeks. Dude is a Hall of Fame moron because Kick is clearly one of those platforms where you really have to try to get banned. It takes a special kind of moron to get banned on Kick. As the only other streamer I know that's banned.
Oh, we're trying. Mr. Meeseeks. Oh, he's trying. I can't do it. I fucked up my vocal cords and I can't do voices like I used to. It used to be great. God damn it.
From Kick is Johnny Smalley, and he might be the dumbest human
Yep,
being on the
call it
planet.
said number
But
one.
You may be asking, what happened this time that forced Kick to ban Jack one more time permanently? Well, during a stream on January 18th, in which he was collaborating with World of T-Shirts, or Joshua Block, who we've also covered here on this channel, Jack, while walking around, got slapped in the face by a stream sniper. And in case you guys don't know what stream sniping is, it's
That
essentially
sucks.
using someone's
That's
stream to
rude.
find out where they are. Originally, this was in-game, but in the IRL streaming context, the stream sniper's purpose is to track down the streamer's location and then insert themselves into the stream somehow. Like, this guy just showed up and slapped Jack. Now,
That's pretty
getting
funny.
slapped
I mean,
is-
I don't condone
it
violence.
sucks,
Like,
but it's
that's-
not really
violence
a
is
bannable
bad. It's
offense
just-
because it's not your fault. There's nothing you can really do there. But it's safe to
Serves
say
you
what
right, I
happens
guess. I
next
don't
in this clip definitely is. Because instead of just handling the situation reasonably to avoid even more conflict, Jack goes and beats up this guy with his security guards. He chases the guy down and then hits him back. And of course, his bodyguard has to jump in and help, while the cameraman is recording everything. Because Jack has to live stream every terrible decision in his life, including assaulting someone for content. So obviously, Kick decided they'd had enough and banned him again. He
That's
only
insane.
found out later when he was already in the car checking his phone and someone sent him a screenshot of his Kick page that read, "Oops, something went wrong. We can't find the page you're looking for."
See, I just got banned on Kick.
I wasn't.
Oh my god, dog. I just got banned on Kick because that.
Like, I know I'm not creating, like, any massive content here, but, like, this is harmless. You know what I mean? Like, this,
God damn it. I think I did, bro. I think I did get banned. Bro, last month.
Going.
Yeah, I'm cooked, bro.
yeah, you're cooked. Like,
Oh my god, bro.
you could have
How
just
is
not
that
been a
fair,
piece of
guys?
shit.
This is why I don't like Kick, bro. It's like.
You defended yourself.
No!
I'm defending myself and I can get banned on. Like, that's why I don't do anything back to anyone ever in the past, because it's just like I don't want to get banned. It's, I do something back to him and I'm banned. Like,
So Jack was hit first, but what happened
I
was
like-
not self-defense. It was a retaliation.
Okay, I like that. I like having that as the poster in the background. It's a clever idea that I wish I had come up with, and I didn't. I got my, I don't have this. This is cool. Like, I like this. It's the little things. The little things. Keep smacking this mic around. It's the little things that make life and streaming enjoyable. Let's keep going.
Attack that he live streamed himself doing. I'm kind of baffled at how careless he is with his platform. Okay, you got smacked. That sucks. Let your security handle it, and you go on and continue streaming. You don't live stream yourself beating up the guy to protect
dude,
your
you have
ego.
security.
The only way that's self-defense is if he was continuously a threat to you. But he bitch slapped you and ran. Retaliating would not be self-defense, because all he did was he stooped to the instigator's level. Any creator would know you can't broadcast yourself fighting someone. And the instigator here got exactly what he wanted, as Jack is now permanently banned from streaming on Kick and has essentially lost his streaming career. All because this instigator decided to smack him. That is like,
Yeah, where's he gonna go next,
ultimate
Rumble?
W for this instigator.
Hey,
So,
y'all, it's
how
me on
long is
Rumble.
this
Join the
permanent
Jack
ban going to last
KKK
this time?
clan.
Who knows?
Woo!
But it's already been over a month, and it doesn't seem like he's getting unbanned anytime soon.
Good.
At least for now. Because Kick was a major revenue source for Jack, as I covered in the interview with Pat God in my last video. So getting banned for a second time in less than a year, that definitely hits where it hurts. His wallet. So recently he's moved to party.com again, a much smaller platform with far fewer streamers and viewers than Kick, which is definitely not ideal for someone who honestly is just used to throwing money at all of his problems. But usually after some time after the punishment, streamers can appeal their ban, explain that they've learned their lesson, and try to get back, to good graces.
sorry, I don't see Jack having learned his, like, immediately after that, like, he hasn't learned his lesson. Like, you can't let that slide. Like, when they keep making mistakes of, like, this massive caliber, like, again, he almost killed people, including his own passenger and himself. Like, oh, God, it's just fucking aggravating.
The platform. But Jack, he tried that approach in the dumbest way possible, and it really did not go well for him. So in one of his recent streams on Twitch and Party, Jack revealed that he sent Kick's staff an email that he wrote using ChatGPT.
Guys, I tried to get unbanned from Kick, right? You guys want to hear what my message was to Kick? Let me know. I wrote a message to Kick. Remember the message I wrote this morning and I put it in ChatGPT and they gave me the college essay? But then they denied it. So yeah, I'm in the ass. Kick stuck my you and lick my.
Dude, what did you think was going to happen here? Did you really think they weren't going to realize it was written in ChatGPT? Obviously, his appeal didn't work as he expected, so he absolutely lost it on stream.
He said our apology for any disruption this may have caused. If you don't disruption, so all 200,000 fall.
Sorry, I pulled up an article because I had to see how much this jackass is making. From January 23rd, 2024, from Sportskeeda. I've never heard of them before. Jack is reported to earn between $703,500 to $11.3 million each year. I definitely see it being within that range, absolutely. His second channel called Jack Live... Oh, God, that was just his YouTube channel. His second channel called Jack Live is estimated to earn between $61,000 and $989,000 yearly. In total, the streamer may earn anywhere from $765,000 to $12.28 million a year solely from his those are still just his YouTube channels. Fuck. That's not counting, like, again, Kick and Twitch. And he's got, like, assets in the $15 to $50 million range. It's like, look, I've said it in, like, some of the earlier streams I've done. I have a personal financial goal of $5 million. That's it. Like, I want to earn that kind of money. I'm not going to lie. Like, that's part of the reason why, like, that is a part of the reason why I'm doing this. Like, content creation, building an audience, and making some money doing it. I'm not going to become a fucking right-wing grifter. Hell no. Like, and Lord knows there's always an appetite for those. All I have to do is say some Russian talking points, and then bada bing, bada boom, I'm on Timcast. Like, God. We all just want to make a living. Like, guys like me just want to make a living so I can actually enjoy my fucking life. Guys like Jack Doherty's new $50 million house, and $15 million, that's the fucking car it was a Lambo he crashed, right? What a waste of a beautiful car. Jesus Christ. But yeah, just his hair looks like the worst helmet ever. Like, to have all that money and just be like, you see what money does to you? Like, you're detached from the world around you. You got bodyguards, people are trash, cars are trash, they're disposable to you. Like, I can't imagine living like that. Like, again, like, that's why I see 5 million, 2.5 times the average American annual lifetime earnings. You don't have to worry about debt. You don't have to worry about mortgages. You have your car, your house. You can go on vacation twice a year. Like, you just get to do what you want and spend time with your family. Like, that's my goal. And that's the other thing. If I made that kind of money, I'd be streaming, not nonstop, but I would definitely doing it, like, way more consistently. I certainly wouldn't be doing my 9 to 5. And just this kid got lucky out of the gate, has never had, as far as I know, hasn't worked like a real 9 to 5 job, hasn't built a real career, just went online, racked up the views, made his money, and turned into a fucking jackass. It's depressing. Like,
a bill on your platform. You and lick my. Eddie.
Oh, we got a chatter.
You and all
I'm sorry.
your Australian friends, they all suck. I'm sorry, you guys are a bunch of f***ies. You're turning into Twitch, and you know what? Twitch is better because I'm actually live on Twitch right now because it's not a liberal-ass platform like you guys.
Okay,
That's
another bot. I just keep getting bots.
You liberal little in Australia. Am I on Twitch? Am I getting banned? in GTA 5.
I mean, at this
See, he's just asking for it. Also, yeah, most of my viewers outside of like immediate friends and everything that I send links to, most of my viewers are bots and the occasional like stray like person coming in. Again, I keep putting out the content. I know I'm hijacking from what we're watching here. I keep putting out content and uploading it to YouTube so that there's a record of the things that I have been doing, the content I have been creating, and I can, knock on wood, potentially build a much more stable audience there and lead people to these. Where am I going with this? My optimism comes from the idea that, like, again, Kick, Twitch, YouTube, they all have algorithms that that boost the content. One of the YouTubers I watch, Amanda Swell from Swell Entertainment, she became big during the pandemic. The algo picked up on her content, her unique look, style, presentation, and boosted the hell out of her so that she was able to turn being a streamer into a career. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of want to surf that algo as much as I hate algorithms, and I know it is hypocritical of me to want to do it, but I want to get on the algo so I can get going and me watching these videos is what I would do in my free time to try and keep my own sanity and get through the day, like either before work, after work, during, never during work. But like just listening to these and having my own opinions, and I would go over them with my friends and everything. And like now it's like I'm here and I'm broadcasting them to throwing my voice out into the ether to see if anyone will, be interested in it and hearing it. And there's more I want to do than just these. And that's why, like, again, if I hit my goals, that I can pursue this further and do like actual like original ideas and stuff that I want to explore and expand upon. That's ambition. So right now it's just a matter of persistence, determination, and luck. Like every billionaire success story is one that involves luck. Like it's always in there somewhere. Sometimes in much greater quantities than others. So let's finish up with Tozy's video, the GOAT. God, I am jealous as fuck of his views. He's good. He's just good. He's consistent. He's a good time. He's not bad. And he puts in the effort. It's there.
At this point, it's just pathetic. It also just says so much about his content when you're getting banned on Kick of all places. I also love how he's streaming on Twitch while actively dissing Twitch at the same time, saying that
he doesn't care
like them. Yet all he wants to be on is Kick because his big problem is he's built this audience of kids.
Oh, like growing into streaming, trying to, yeah, like the Kick revenue split is much better than Twitch, which is why he wants it. But like when you simulcast like I'm doing now, like you could potentially get both of those revenue streams. There's no reason not to. Yet, I mean that'll end as soon as Bezos gets his hands on everything else. So let's finish this.
Kids that orbit on Kick and not Twitch, which is also problematic because everything this guy shills is 18 plus, OF, and gambling. But after his meltdown, he decides to challenge Eddie, one of the CEOs of Kick, to a boxing match. And 2 seconds later, he then steps back and says, no, wait, the CEO of Party, he should be the one fighting Eddie, while he's supposed to fight Neon. Dude's just adding random people to his beef out of nowhere.
Eddie, if you want to baby, do it, but I'll box you, Eddie. Let's box, Eddie. I'll box you. Honestly, the Party creator should box you. Party creator, you box Eddie, I box Neon. Let's go. Biggest match of all time. Winner. The losing team.
He sounds like a meth addict.
Has to delete their platform and their platform. So like, say
he's
Eddie
like a 28-year-old Zoomer. It's so
Eddie has to
weird.
just delete Kick. Get wrecked.
But I guess Jack's career isn't the only thing he's been crashing lately. Obviously, he's had the McLaren incident.
The McLaren, yeah, it was a
An
McLaren.
electric bike incident as
God,
well.
I should have known that. There was a Lego set for that car,
Apparently,
too.
he bought one
God
of
damn
those, and that sent him to the hospital a couple times.
Alright guys, I crashed my dirt bike another time, and this time I broke my collarbone and hit my head. No more.
And as I hinted to earlier, this isn't the first time something like this has happened to him.
bleeding bad? Just go like this.
Yeah. You can do that and then go back to the house if you want. Just use your shirt, maybe.
Why?
Yeah.
Those clips there, like,
It's
where
just
you got
trash
really
content.
close
It's
to
just
the road,
trash.
like, what are you doing, dude? At least the only upside to the crash that sent him to the hospital, which I'm about to show, is that he was wearing a helmet.
Always wear your helmet.
You good?
Always wear your
Yeah, I'm
helmet.
good.
Holy.
Oh, I'm done with that.
Oh my God.
I don't know, I hit my head.
You good? Helmet.
Why were you sitting on the bike when you jumped?
Does he
Also,
bike in
why
like
were
the
you
one, like
at
the
a
one
gas
place? Like
station?
that's the only
Jack
place he
is
bikes?
extremely lucky in unusual ways. Thankfully, that bike didn't fly and hit someone or damage someone's property. And honestly, I don't know how he's always managed to get away with so many stupid decisions throughout his career.
Money.
Up until this point.
It's
Like
money,
when he
Atozy.
crashed the car, he left the accident without a single bruise on his body. After getting permanently
I
banned
had to check the
on
mic.
Kick,
I
it
just
only took
I
3
forgot
months
if I
for
turned
him
it back
to
on or
be
not.
forgiven, which is why it's permanently banned. Who knows how long he's actually going to be
I'm
banned?
looking at the sound bar.
It
What am I
seems
doing? What am I
like
thinking?
Maybe they'll be a little bit more serious this time, but who knows? So maybe that's just the appeal to his content. Jack is basically just the architect and mastermind of his own downfall. Yet he just keeps on walking this very thin line, swaying and nearly losing his balance multiple times while people just wait for the next slip up. He's essentially the embodiment of a slow car crash that you just can't really look away from. Metaphorically and obviously literally as well sometimes. So I guess only time will tell what will actually happen, but until then, it seems like he's not coping with this decision well at all. But other than that, YouTube thinks you'll enjoy this video, and hey, if you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video. No, actually, I will see you in the next video. Show up for my next video, guys. That would actually be really cool.
Otozi's a good guy. Okay. No, we're not gonna watch this. Just
All right, guys, we got to
no,
talk
no.
about.
God damn it. Okay. Go back.
It's safe to...
I try to keep track of the videos that I've watched and I'm going to watch. Let's watch Theo Von and Andrew Schultz talk about shit that they shouldn't be talking about and don't know or care enough to know about shit. God damn it. Pisses me off.
So we were talking before about the Tesla showroom vandalism, allegedly, and all sorts of these Tesla protests. And apparently, the right is going to now, well, they have been, but it seems like they're really starting to circle around and protect poor little weak, vulnerable Elon Musk, world's richest man, who apparently doesn't have any way to protect himself other than the podcast comedians coming to his rescue. So here's Andrew Schultz on Theo Von's podcast defending Elon Musk and the protests against Tesla. And I want to bring this up because I'm seeing this line that Schultz brings up more and more about how, listen, whatever you think about Elon, how can you harm an American company like Tesla?
I mean, if we had an American company building gas chambers, I'd be against that too. A company can be bad. I'm not saying the people that are working in it are bad. The thing I got into it with a guy on the Internet Today Reddit, subreddit, and he was like, Ricky and Elliot are doing Shopify, which they did in this episode too, and it's like, yeah, it's part of the environment we're in. It's part of the game. Like, they need their funding to stay afloat and keep producing content that will hopefully someday inspire people like it inspired me to change the system so that they're not dependent on this ad revenue. But he's acting like it's hypocrisy, and I'm like, no, dude, it's necessity. Hypocrisy is like senators bashing gay people and then going and blowing men in like airport lounges. Larry Craig, motherfucker. That's hypocrisy. It's saying you don't believe in something, but then you clearly believe in something. And it's like, no, these guys are just existing in the system that we're in. They're not grifting. And so I'm not mad at them for that. And I'm not mad at Tesla employees for working at Tesla. Like, I know Tesla employees. I know how much they make, like on the ground level. They can't help it. It's a job's available. They had stock options, retirement options. It did. Who knows if those will hold through? But like, people went where the pay went, and they joined up. And I'm sorry, but like, this company needs to fall for America to survive the oligarchs. Like, it's the first company that needs to fall for us to recover as a nation. It just does. And it doesn't need defending. It doesn't. It's had every opportunity over the last 8 years to remove Elon, and they're just like, no, we're going to stick with it. He's our golden goose. He's loud and allegedly autistic. He's not an innovator. He's a hype man, and you bet on the hype man, and so now you're going to reap like the cultural downside of that. So yeah, fuck Tesla.
You want to see Americans lose their
Ooh,
jobs?
I got a Twitch follower.
over
Thank you.
this? Because of you disagree with Tesla CEO? Play Schultz here.
Jamie, bring it up. Bring it up, Jamie.
So for real. So this is like a kind of shitty.
I have very mixed opinions about Andrew Schultz. I don't like him, but I don't hate him. He was good in tires, and he's friends with Bobby Lee. That's like, but yeah, I don't like him. Again, I don't hate him though. I just don't like him.
Situation where, like, yes, I understand that he's antagonizing people.
It's not the
He's
stash. I got
rubbing
nothing
people
against the
wrong way.
stash.
You don't like the guy. You don't like the beliefs. You don't like what he's doing. And there are things to criticize. I'm not saying there aren't things to criticize. Like, everybody is.
There's a lot of things to criticize. Pretty much everything.
Punish.
Can I say name one? Go ahead, do it. What would you emphasize, Schultz? There's all these stuff to criticize. It's very easy to say. Put one on the line.
I love criticism, but to punish that car company that is 100% made in America.
And also, it's not. That's another thing. They're not all 100% made in America. They're assembled in America, but they're not America only.
Like, what is your goal? That we shut down those factories and those Americans lose those jobs? That makes you feel better about your gripe with Elon?
That's the thing. Some people, they'd
nationalize them.
In an argument, it feels like, you know.
And
sometimes
there's people that rely on those.
Like, you... I say it all the time. In a just world, you would nationalize infrastructure. And they're right now the only electric car company that's really doing anything in America. Like, I mean, that's solely electric cars. They're fucking up. They're floundering because privatization is a for-profit industry over prosperity, both for the consumer and the business, which means it gets profit from the business and the consumer before before prosperity is even thought of, if ever. That, and the cars are not prospering, the consumers are not prospering. Government edicts would dictate that the goals of that company would be the prosperity of the American citizens, getting American citizens cheap, affordable, and mass-produced electric cars made in just this nation. Tesla's not doing that. They're trying to still get the Chinese market, which they're going to lose. they're just better cars. I've seen them. They are impressive. And if this if the 5-minute charging tech that they're talking about, even if it's 10 minutes, like Tesla's cooked. They're just cooked. They wasted too much time and money pandering and getting the Cybertruck into development instead of actually building a cheap, affordable EV for the American people. They missed their shot. They wasted time banking on, King Elon keeping it together. And it's like, the investors can see it. That's why everyone's offloading their stock. Like, Elon is going off the rails. That squeaky wheel is getting more and more wobbly the faster he goes. And eventually he's going to crash into something and explode. And the greatest way to light that fuse is to finish tanking Tesla. Anyone following Tesla's stock, do yourself a fun little favor. Go up, look at it on the Dow. Go back 5 years. Tesla's stock was like $23 5 years ago. It was nothing. And in the last 5 years, it's just exploded due to hype. It's gotten big after Elon called the rescue diver the pedophile. Like, it's beyond inflated. Like, the merits of this car company, the merits were there 5 years ago. And if they had adhered to growing progressively, actually developing new technologies and they should have sought out where their competition was, because it was in China. BYD was working on their prototypes, their plans. They should have sought out. They should have done, it's hard to say here, they should have done corporate espionage to figure out what they were building and undercut them or stolen their... That's what the Chinese did to us. Like, up until COVID, for 10 years, there were stories of Chinese espionage programs going on where Chinese agents were stealing as much data, as much product, blueprints, everything they could to replicate and innovate their own technologies that are now coming to fruition. There was a story out of MIT, like 6 years ago. A Chinese spy stole a robotic hand from MIT. He was caught with it. They did nothing with him. They didn't detain him. They didn't interrogate him. They just took the hand back and he went on his way. And it's like, guys, they're getting their info together. They're getting ready to seize markets. They've got production down. China's whole big thing, their claim to fame, was that for 30 years, they were a source of cheap production and cheap labor, cheap products. And they've got that mass producing down. Now they're going in for the intellectual kill. And we are giving it to them on a silver platter because of idiots doped up on ketamine like fucking Elon.
Jobs. This
is such a great argument because it shows just how stupid these guys are, honestly. Because why are
I'm on my last leg with Theo. He better pull the rabbit out of his ass and cut it out, or I can't tolerate him anymore. Like, I know he did the sit down with Hassan, and I swear there was a knee-jerk reaction because he chewed out Zelensky. Theo, you gotta read a book, you gotta grow, or you know what? Take your fucking foot out of politics. Just do it. You have no business being here if you're not gonna bother learning how things are, what the hell's going on. And I'm sorry, you've been famous for too long, for 20 years now? You can't relate to us anymore. You're not in the trailer park anymore. You're a millionaire now, right? You're not relatable to us. You don't know what it's like in this country anymore. Sorry, dude. A hillbilly accent doesn't change anything.
Are people protesting at Tesla's because they want to show their disapproval of its CEO Musk? And what is Musk doing that is so bad? Well, one of those things is he's openly advocating for fascism and right-wing governments all over the world. That's one reason, but a bigger reason, probably the main reason people are protesting against Tesla because of Musk, is because Musk, through his government project with Doge, is firing slews of federal workers, American citizens.
Reminder, the end goal is to fire, so there's 2.2 to 2.5 million federal workers. They want to, their current goal is 1 million. They want to fire at least 1 million. If they have their way, they will all be fired. They will get rid of 2 million. They'll need, 500,000 in place to, basically bureaucratic Gestapo. But the end goal is to fire all of them. Every single federal employee. Just ruin their lives. Millions of Americans. For trying to make America a better place. I thought that's what you wanted, Donald. I thought that's what you wanted, Elon. Make America great again, right? How is it great again when you're just ruining Americans' lives, you pricks?
American citizens are losing their job because of Elon Musk. This is amazing that they're so worried about Tesla and the Tesla employees losing their job. They don't even care about the fact.
Sorry, Tester. I'm just seeing the chat and sleep the duh. Hey, guys. Kind of. I'm playing Baldur's Gate 3 right now. I've been meaning to finish it up. I've been way too busy. If you're asking me to join, I've got invites to a couple of groups, but you're talking a Twitch D&D team. I don't know if you're still there. I'm sorry. I just saw that you were talking. But if you're talking a Twitch play, I'm mostly a player. I would love to DM. It is not a commitment I can fulfill right now. I've got I actually have a couple of DM books I've been meaning to read through. I picked up before I killed my Amazon subscription. I picked up Puzzles, Traps, and Dungeons. It's a book that's got like basic layouts and everything, and I've been meaning to play around with that. I love storytelling. The thing I want to do outside of this is write science fiction. So I would love to DM at some point. I just don't feel like I have the time right. Like, again, like I'm doing this right now. Oh. I'm not against it. I'm not against it at all. Like I'm interested. I can't offer much right now. I'm stretched thin. Like I should be asleep because I got to work in the morning. But again, this is what I do. I mean, if you could send me an invite or something, I'll pop in and throw some ideas around. I'm a big Star Wars head. As you can gather from the name, mostly the older canon, but like, okay, yeah, dude, send me an invite. I can't promise I'll be that active. Like I'm running my Discord now, which I picked up some lovely Australian gentlemen. Those guys are, I don't know if you know them or if you're familiar with them, but they're great. Let me see here. Sorry, let me read that. My eyes. Hold on. What? Stop giving me that. Okay, we're playing Discord voice and video. Other Wednesdays or Fridays bi-weekly, 1 p.m. to 4 p.m. I'm not gonna lie, man. I'm more than likely gonna be in work. Again, I'm not against it. I'll hold on. Can I hit you with a follow. Sleep, I'll hit you with a follow too. Oh man, I missed him when he was here. I'll be there in a minute, honey. Not really. Like kind of. I'm a full-time worker. Like I'm full-time. And again, like as far as personal projects go, like I'm barely having time for this. Like I meant to stream, there were 2 days in the last week I meant to stream and I got wiped out. I got kids too, so I'm nonstop. Oh, did I pause it? No, wait, hold on. Oh, there you are. Okay, I accepted it. But yeah, man, I fuck with Star Wars hardcore. I'm not gonna lie, like the new trilogy, like the sequels, they're broken. They don't work. They need to be taken. They need to be removed. I hate to say it. I will say I was a very anti Last Jedi guy, and I still it still has a lot of problems. But after I read the episode 9 script and after I read the episode 9 script, the original script, Colin Trevorrow's one, after I read that and the deleted scenes from The Last Jedi, I was like, oh, okay. They should have finished. They should have just done this. Like, this makes sense. The Last Jedi would have still had a bunch of plot holes, but it would have been a workable trilogy, just like the prequels were, and it currently isn't. And Disney's just kind of flailing. So, I mean, but that being said, I'm massively familiar with the Legends canon and everything. Where are we at? Yeah, man. I see the DM. Hit me up. Again, consistency is. I'm very strapped for personal time. Like, again, like what I'm doing now is what I would be doing lying in bed, trying to unwind and watching these videos, even though it's stressful as hell. And I know you've just started following me, but like when I'm not doing this and I'm not working and I'm not hanging out with my kids, I'm going to protest more. I upload them to the YouTube channel. I got one from last weekend that needs to go up for a Tesla protest. But like I'm interested. It's just be aware, like until this is my full-time job, like I can't commit to anything. But like I'm interested. Yeah, absolutely. And if you got ideas you want to shoot around, god damn, I came up with like I used to have ideas for Star Wars fanfics, particularly around like KOTOR stuff, because KOTOR was amazing. Like, that was great. And I had other ideas, especially around like the sequels and everything. But yeah. So I appreciate the invite, man. Sorry, here we see. Well, it's funny you say Dark Emperor, like, sorry, I'm reading your messages now. I'm in and out right now. It's like, it's more like a why does Spider-Man wear a mask type deal. Because there's fucking psychos on the internet and everything, and it's like, and every now and then I'll get some right-wing snowflake. They'll be like, oh, you wearing a mask in 2025? And it's like, yeah, like, aren't you guys like the party of like, do whatever you want? I'm doing this. I'm like, oh, well, that's stupid. Like, sorry. I'm in the DMV. I'd rather not say what state, but I'm in the DMV area. Yeah, like, so, how do I put this? For streaming to become a full-time gig, like, for it to really do that, I would need a massive audience. Like, we're talking, like, several thousand at a minimum. I'm nowhere near there yet. And, like, with everything going on right now with the economy and the psychos in charge, like, I do need to maintain my full-time work. Like, my actual job outside of this. Which is another reason for this. It's like, I don't like being recognized or identified or accosted for what I do in my off hours and vice versa. What do you call it? Sorry, I'm winding down. But yeah, I would totally be all for that. Like I said, I don't know if you were watching earlier. I've got friends. I have one friend that is in fact a famous YouTuber. I'm not naming any names because I don't like to mention, like, I don't want to talk about it. I don't ever want to be seen as going after someone's coattails. If I ever make it big, like, and it ever came out, it'll be like, oh yeah, like, I've known that person since kindergarten type deal. But until then, like, I keep it quiet. Like, let's put it this way. I'll narrow it down to like the Maryland, Virginia area. I'm around there. I'm not in Delaware. Like, yeah. But yeah, I'm not against streaming as full-time work. What I want to do is write science fiction novels. Like, I want to do that. Like, and I want to be able to make money off of that. And then eventually do other things too. Like, I've got a million great ideas. But they require time, money, and commitment. And I'm like, again, yeah, it is. It is. Let me put it this way. I'm not along the state line. I'm in that area. Like, it's, yeah. Yeah. Where was I? Sorry, I've been looking forward to chatters, and you kind of caught me off guard. I don't really get into like deep conversations that often. I don't know if you can see, I got both chats up. I got the Kick and the Twitch one. And the Kick one is just bots. Like, God. There you go. But yeah, man, I'd rather write science fiction novels, play video games, and yeah. They are. Well, like, kind of spent my whole life in the area, and when you're locked in, you're locked in. This country doesn't afford mobility. It doesn't let you we're not afforded the ability to move from one side of the country or to a different area and start all over again easily. And, my family in here, we're all settled. Like, we're where we're at and just trying to make it work with everything going on. But yeah. God, what else I want to tell you? Yeah, no, man, I love Star Wars. I remember being a kid, going into the library, getting the Timothy Zahn books. I read his stuff. I read a lot of Karen Travis's stuff, which I got notes, Karen. Like, I got a lot of notes. Like, her stories weren't bad, but they weren't great. Oh, yeah. No, you're right. I had family that lived up in Ohio. And, like, it's like a third to what it would cost to live, what I have now up there. Oh, shit, dude, you're in Ohio? I'm sorry. Cleveland's okay, and I've been up near the lakes, and I've seen the old nuclear power plant there. That was cool. I believe you. The old nuclear power plant was cool. The lakes were cool, but we also went on like a drab day, so it's like it's all flat land and it's just like drab as hell. And then you see like the lakes like just ominously looming off in the distance, just staring you down. It's wild. Oh, dude, 3K? No, dude. Like, okay, rent in our area, I think God, no. 3K rent is for like, if you're in the city, that's like a 1-2 bedroom apartment at best. It's like, it's for in the city. Outside, a townhome is probably running around like, God, it's probably running around like two to $2,500 to rent a townhome, and to rent like a single. But then there's like a massive jump. Well, okay, townhome, like the cheapest ones are 2K, but they can get up to like 4. They can get up to 5. I went down to National Harbor a few years back before the housing prices went to hell. And they had like new condos, and they were like $4,000 a month. And I was like, and just for like these really shitty condos on National Harbor, I was like how, who's paying for that? Like, where's that money coming from? Like, 'cause that's even more than like government wages. It's insane. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm very tired, man. I don't mean to be nitpicky. I'm out of it a little bit. Like I said, I'm supposed to be asleep. I got I can put another hour of content out of me, which actually real quick, don't have time for that. These are later streams. Sorry. I'm gonna finish watching Binder and Brandon and Matt finish off cheesing on Schultz and Theo. And when we're done with that, we're gonna watch this Noah Samsen video I've been meaning to watch, criticizing Sex Pestiny, Mudahar, Ethan. I know these two, but I can't bring names. Sorry. Because I don't think if you were here for this earlier. So I do these. Oh. True. You're right. Like, the National Harbor thing was weird because if you haven't been to National Harbor, it's like a mini a really tiny like theme park kind of deal. Like a bunch of boutique like nifty shop. I think they got like Build-A-Bear and stuff, like M&M store, like candy stuff, and a giant Ferris wheel, like a sand area for kids to play in. And sometimes they build like a big ice TV. Sorry, yeah. Well, I'm just talking about like places I've been in Maryland. So National Harbor, they but yeah, it's like what made the condos so insane was, again, this was years ago, they were like 4K. They're probably 6K now. And it's like, you wouldn't, if you are a politician, you wouldn't live in that condo, which was confusing the hell out of me. Like, you know what it would make sense for is the goddamn lobbyist. Yeah, it would make sense for the lobbyist. Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. $5 million is cheap in like Bethesda, like Chevy Chase area. That's cheap there. But like houses in like Baltimore, outer Baltimore, Clarksburg, Washington County, like you can get a decent home for under $1 million. Yeah. The further, okay, like picture like DC as like the core with the most expensive, and you expand outwards, and like, yeah, they're still really expensive, but like by the time you get to Rockville, you can buy a home under $1 million. They're not phenomenal, but like they're there. And then the further out you go, like I said, like up into was it Carroll and Frederick County, Washington County, you can get a much affordable housing. A lot of people commute; they go up and down the spur every day. No, you're right. You're right. Yeah, you're right about Bethesda. Yeah. You're right. Yeah, Bethesda's right there near the core, like the core being like DC, and like you're buying historical housing at that point, and it's just ridiculous. Hold on one second. Oh shit. Get out of there. Oh god. Okay. Wait, did I pin that? I don't want to pin that. Okay. Well, again, like, I'll say this. Like, more of those are lobbyists than anything else. Like, honest to God. Government employees, most of them are commuting. Like, they all had to go back in the office on the 17th, and you can see the spur light up, like with all the people commuting to and from to get to the DC area. The lobbyists are the ones that usually want to like live and keep hitting the mic in DC. So you're not wrong. So politicians, they need their second home in DC for congressional stays and everything, which is something I've always hated. But so here's a fun fact. So when you're a new politician and you don't have your lobby money and everything yet, like AOC was when she got hired on, when she got elected, when she got elected, all the new politicians, there's like a dorm style thing where they all like, you pay like a minimum due, I think, and you get in and you just kind of stay there during session. And then you go back home, obviously, and you're there, kind of like a military school type deal. For the less well-off politicians, it's an accommodation that's available to them. But obviously, you're right. Like, the more like you got your Schumers, your Pelosi's, all the right-wing grifters, they all have like second homes that they've purchased or rental properties that they use in the interim that friends have. While they're there in session, which was something of a controversy in the first Trump administration because one of his guys was letting another representative just use his house in DC without charging him. They charged him like $400, but it was something like $10K worth of like rent. So it was essentially a bribe. We're so far beyond that with the corruption in DC right now, but like, yeah. listen, she doesn't have. I've seen her financial disclosures. I don't see any reason not to believe them. I don't think she's broke, but she doesn't have assets to her name, not like an actual home in her name and everything. She's not the financial problem that's out there. Like there's a list of politicians. The older they are and the longer they've been in Congress, the more time they've had to trade on stock info and consolidate their financial basis, which is why Pelosi is so amazingly wealthy. I don't think she's worth $1 million. Like, I don't. Like, I don't see that. Like, there's not enough paper trail to justify that. And I'm open to being wrong, but, like, I just don't see it yet. And again, like, the real corrupt ones are the ones that have been there longer because they exponentially make more and more money for having been in that position longer, trading on what they know. Pelosi is worth, allegedly, and I believe it, around $300 million. Schumer, I believe, is worth $75 million. Fuck both of them. Yeah, no. Like, I think they're both assholes. But yeah, like, go down that list, and it's usually the older ones that have the most. But yeah, they're all, yeah. I'm sorry, man. I'm not ignoring you. I want to finish up this video, and then I'm debating whether I have enough energy for Noah. Oh yeah. Don't get me started on McConnell. And I was ranting about Joe Manchin earlier, who sold out his constituents and by allowing like power utilities to game their system and like exploit their customers. Real pieces of shit. Oh yeah, true. I'm not ignoring you. We're gonna dive in here and watch them go after Theo and what do you call it, Andrew Schultz.
That Elon Musk right now is firing.
Oh fuck
people.
Rick Scott.
American
He's a piece of shit.
Are losing their
I
job
like
right now because of
Hassan did not deserve to be banned. Fuck
We
Rick
feel
Scott.
the way he feels about Tesla, but we feel it about the United States government, which I would argue is a
They
better
were,
thing to
and he
feel
shouldn't have said it the way he did, and he's taking his L for that. But like Rick Scott should be in jail.
I am sure, I can guarantee you can probably find in 2 seconds a Schultz clip of him knocking or criticizing or any of these guys really doing it, cheering the decline of some company they disagree with. They did it for Bud Light. They do it all the time for like Disney. All these companies that hire American workers and provide good American jobs. If they don't agree with them though, or with their right-wing opinions, you better believe these are the first guys out there.
Oh yeah, man, I love
cheering
Hassan.
on
like
any
95 to 99% of the shit
repercussion that
Hassan
these
says, I'm on
companies
board
feel
with.
end up feeling for not agreeing with them. It is absurd. These guys are ripe with hypocrisy.
Yeah, no, I'll try to avoid making any casting any aspersions at the online comedians. People get so mad when you make fun of.
He's very articulate, very patient,
like intellectually subnormal.
I'm always freaking out after like people at the shit that he should be, but isn't.
Right. The valuation of Tesla is inextricably entangled with Elon Musk's public perception.
He's very confident.
People thought that
He's
he was like
relatable.
Tony Stark when he was like doing cool like flame.
And he makes a fuck ton of money too, but he's still
prices was booming because people
knock on
were
wood,
able to believe that
still
he was
very
going to,
relatable.
this new era technologist who's going to usher in a wave of like future technology that like we haven't we're all just waiting for. We're all waiting for hover cars. We're all waiting for self-driving cars. We're all waiting for space exploration. And it was very easy to believe that when he was like only in the news sometimes. Now that people are aware of the kind of person that he is, much harder to believe that, much harder to ignore his problematic politics. The second part of this is that I think it's revealing for, and I don't know much about these two, and excuse me, but
God, I'm tired.
Resistance to people expressing their dissatisfaction with Tesla through boycotts, with protesting, I think it's still revealing about what the free speech advocates online actually always wanted. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. And that's that,
I don't take his word as gospel, but like
freedom of dissociating with him if they don't.
And I've disagreed with him before, but like in general, like yeah, I'm on. In general, I'm on Hassan's side. Like almost like at 95, 99% of the time. You can never
distance yourself from me.
Like I'll say it for me and for anyone. You can never take someone at 100%
kind of dissatisfaction,
because then you're just you're following a cult leader, and it's like it's okay to doubt people.
Have to deal with me or go away quietly, and you just don't have to. Like that's what free speech is. It's
and it's saying it loud is good.
It's not
people hear
him.
Allowed to I get loud. Tesla. Like I'm aping as much of his shtick as I can.
Tesla's terrible Cybertruck. It's being allowed to do all those things, right? But they want it to be the opposite, and I think that's a very compelling message to people who make their money from their public persona and don't want that to ever go away. But like it's just not the way the world really works.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of how the world really works, it doesn't actually work where Tesla is a purely American car company doing everything in America. In fact, they sent an unsigned letter, not from Musk, but from the other Tesla folks saying, hey, your tariffs are going to F us up because we source a lot of stuff from good old China.
I don't know if you saw it, but I mentioned that earlier. Yeah, like they're not American. So, yeah, they're American made.
Look, I think like Ford. If I don't own a car, I live in Brooklyn. But if I bought a car, I'd probably buy an American UAW sort of a backed car. I'm not buying a non-union vehicle ever in my life. But here's what has these guys really pissed off is
So real quick, Hassan he's going on tour with Bernie and AOC. I don't think he's ready for politics. Like, I think if we can come out of the Nazi shit going on right now, I think he's got a good chance in 2032 to like start dipping his toes in if he wants to. It depends what's going to happen. I'm not against it, but it's like when people hear a guy's name Hassan, they're like, "Ooh, brown man bad," and I hate that. Like that is like the hidden racism in our country. Wait, me or Hassan? Are we saying Hassan's the scruffy white dude? Oh, Theo Vaughn is the trailer park guy. They're gonna get back to him in a second. He called like Zelensky a bad man and stuff, and I'm like, dude, just sit down. If you don't know what you're fucking talking about, just sit the fuck down. Like, I think I got you. I'm sorry, man. I'm starting to get really tired. We're gonna power through this and then hold on. We're gonna power through this and then go to the Noah Samsen video. I'm just gonna keep playing it when we're just gonna roll with it.
Tim Walz, and I would just say, do not, Tim Walz, buy into the people that are saying to cool it like you did last year when they said stop calling them weird. Continue to say you like Tesla's stock price to drop. Who cares how much you complain about it? Because
it's a great thing. Tesla stock going down, like I follow it every day. I'm like, it's down another $10. Awesome. Like, let's get it. Let's turn it into a fucking penny stock.
They've got that little stock app. I added Tesla to it to give me a little boost during the day. 225.
Oh, that's Matt Bender. Bender's great. If you like Hassan, you'll like Matt Bender. Bender's great. He's really good.
And if you own one, we're not.
I think he works for Mashable.
You can take dental floss and pull the Tesla thing off, and take out. Just telling you.
Yeah, I seen the right wing's reaction to him saying that. Of course, if like Trump was to which I'm sure he does all the time, was to.
Bender's very relatable. Like I relate to him a lot. He's got kids. He's just doing his best. He's a good guy. I can vouch for him.
Of course. I mean, it's hypocrisy all the
way
around.
For what it's worth.
Tim Walz should continue to do these because I think he's good at it. And yeah, I mean, it's ludicrous. Also, the idea that every American company is a little angel and we should be supporting all American companies is just bullshit.
Yeah, hey,
I'm sorry.
you know what?
Yeah.
Andrew Schultz,
Shit,
that's what
he
the
does something.
billions of dollars in
I'm not-
subsidies for. Okay, How
Because
about
again, I
we
think he
don't
works
need
for
to be nice
Mashable.
to a company that we've
He's like an
frankly
actual
bankrolled,
journalist.
who Barack Obama saved with
Last
a giant
year,
loan during
he
the financial crisis.
he goes
And
on
you're
Tim
welcome.
Pool's show once in
And
a
you know what?
while,
We're gonna ridicule
and
this
just like
guy, and I would
politely
just say, God
politely
bless
rips him
everybody
open.
showing up to protest these dealerships.
Whether
and
he does
making it a
Twitch, I'm not
I've seen
sure.
Pranksters go in.
I'd have to check.
Doing
The answer to
like,
that I have to that is
making, like,
maybe.
Sig Heil jokes to the staff there. I would say you might be accused of terrorism, so it'd probably be safer to do that in a place like Canada or something now. But that is just, I mean, great place. Because, again, he bought Twitter by putting his ownership of his stocks like SpaceX and Tesla on the line to back it up. If those go under, you know, like it's down. It's even down to 232. It was at 235 when Tim Wall said that. Let's keep it going.
Yeah, I just love the idea now that apparently, how can you say something about an American company? Oh, how can you? These guys, the rights, like the right, love saying things about any company they don't like. They don't give a shit about American otherwise. They're and you know, every time, every now and then, you know, the right, the clock, you know, the clock is correct for the right, and they get the time right, and they criticize a company like BlackRock. Oh, you can't do that anymore, guys. That's a good old American company. Leave them alone.
I would just Google to see like what kind of conditions these workers look in. Tesla, in addition to like just contractors dying, like here in Texas, and Greg Casara, the representative down there, is doing good work of keeping on Elon on that. But Tesla Fremont factory, this is in California, faces class action lawsuit alleging severe racism against black workers. Look at the details of that before you get before you drop down on your knees and glorify this American company.
Right. Well, they don't. That's the thing, though. They don't. They literally view it as the people to admire from Tesla is Elon Musk. They don't care about
the
work.
executives.
They don't. Right. Yeah. They don't. The executives are the people to admire. They aspire to be the executives.
Yeah, man. I'll chat
They
you
don't
up
look at,
later.
like the guy in the factory.
Have a good night. I'm gonna
working
finish
hard
up
for
my
his family to build the actually build
I'm
the
debating
car.
whether
the
I
guy
have the
who
energy
actually
for this.
creates the product that you use. Apparently enjoy so much.
Yeah,
They
I'm
don't
gonna
give a shit about
I'm gonna go
that
through
person.
this last video and then I'm
Hey,
calling
folks,
it a night.
don't forget to hit the subscribe button and
But,
check out our daily show.
yeah, man,
We
have a
do
good
it
night.
every day at 12 p.m. Eastern.
So here's,
shit.
here's
I don't need that. Okay.
If you like my videos and
All
want
right.
to make more of them and faster, consider.
Oh, that's so good. I love to hear that. I'm gonna save that for later. Oh, there's some good. God damn it! I love when I find like some juicy bits in the recommended videos. I'm like, yeah, give me the good stuff. Answers dictator questions. Jesus Christ. Okay. Oh
I
shit.
study authoritarianism.
If you like my video.
Shit. Okay. Let's watch this.
And want to help me make more of them and faster, consider joining my Patreon. Thanks. About a month ago, the 6 million subscriber YouTube channel H3H3 Productions released a video called Content Nuke Hassan Piker. In this video, the host, YouTuber Ethan Klein, alleges that the political streamer Hassan Piker is an extremist that supports terrorism and terrorist groups.
And over time, I started to learn that my co-host, he really likes terrorists.
Promotes anti-Semitism
Ethan
and
sucks.
is radicalizing his viewers to do the same. He accuses Hassan of being a rape denialist and goes on to accuse him of prolonging what he calls the Israel-Palestine conflict with his radical views.
This conflict will never end until people realize that Palestinian liberation and Israeli security are not mutually exclusive. You need both, and it can be done, but not while people like Hassan lie, propagandize, and incite hate. It's people like him, ironically, that prolong the conflict indefinitely.
In this video, Ethan also criticizes Twitch, the platform that Hassan streams on, accusing the company of having a systemic problem of anti-Semitism. He cites the company's open support of Hassan, its sponsorship of a live event that Ethan claims was anti-Semitic.
I feel like this is indefensible, blatant, obvious anti-Semitism, and this was greenlit by Twitch to appear on their main stage.
And its alleged discrimination against Jews through a recent ban on new account signups from Israel. So I'm going to tip my hand a bit here and say at the outset that this video is quite possibly the worst video I've ever seen. It's plagued with factual errors, misrepresentations, contradictions, and overt pro-Israel Bush-era U.S. State Department propaganda. For a more thorough breakdown of all of this video's problems, I'd recommend the YouTube channel Bad Empanada. He's gone point by point with these and debunked them, many of them months prior to.
I haven't gone on a
Ethan's
Bad
video.
Empanada
Hassan himself has also
binge,
responded to most of these claims.
but Hassan
also
recommends him.
months ago.
Like,
will
I
leave
might
his
add
videos
him
linked
into
below
my
in the playlist.
into my
Given
diet.
the
I don't
existence
know
of
yet.
these dozens of other responses, I'm not here to repeat their arguments. You can just go watch them. No, the real reason I'm talking about Ethan's video today is less about what he says in it and more about what he doesn't say. The things he chooses to leave out. Save for a passing mention of an outdated, vastly underestimated death toll of Palestinians in Gaza, Ethan omits the Palestinian side of the story entirely. He doesn't talk about Gaza. He doesn't give any specifics about what Israel is doing there. And this is an issue for a few reasons, but mainly, all of the points he raises are directly tied to the Gaza genocide. The main targets of this video are some of the only groups in the world that have violently resisted Israel's genocide, and the few figures in independent media that are willing to tell the Palestinian side of the story. By leaving out the broader context, Ethan is able to present a false perception to these millions of viewers about the motivations behind the people his video attacks. He's able to frame them as mindless, terrorist-supporting, America-hating anti-Semites, and not what they really are, which is anti-genocide people that are against genocide. Western media manufactures consent for large-scale terror operations across the globe in a number of ways. There are more overt forms like atrocity propaganda. There are also more subtle ways like deceptively framing information, using passive language, and creating false perceptions about conflicts through things like burying the lead and lies by omission. All of these tactics are present in Ethan's video and the wider online smear campaign that motivated it, but it's that last thing that I think does quite a bit of damage, lying by omission. The way Ethan's video is framed seems to imply that Israel's genocide in Gaza is not actually a genocide. He never explicitly uses the term himself, but it's presented as just another thing that's happening in the Middle East that's sad, but ultimately the product of a war. That there are deaths on both sides, and that all we need to have peace is rational dialogue between these two sides. This could not be further from the truth, and to better understand this, we need to talk about Gaza. Thus far, I've been using the term genocide in reference to Israel's actions in Gaza, but it seems like a lot of the people using it on social media here have a general lack of understanding of the gravity of what that term actually means. Genocide isn't just a bad thing that's happening where people are dying. No, that's not what it is. It's a Holocaust. The US-Israeli Holocaust. That's what it should be called. Israel is using everything in its power to eradicate Palestinians from the planet. The fact that Israel's actions in Gaza amount to genocide isn't controversial, not among the experts at least. This is the near universal consensus among top human rights groups and humanitarian organizations operating on the ground in Gaza that Israel is committing genocide, countless war crimes, and crimes against humanity. There is the Amnesty International report, a 300-page report that accused Israel of genocide in Gaza. There was the Human Rights Watch report accusing Israel of crimes against humanity and genocide in Gaza, specifically through the intentional deprivation of access to clean drinking water. The United Nations, Euromed Monitor, Doctors Without Borders, the International Committee of the Red Cross, Israeli human rights groups like B'Tselem, various Holocaust scholars, they're all saying the same thing. Last year, the International Court of Justice ruled that the case for Israel's genocide in Gaza is plausible. It was a preliminary hearing, and the final rulings on cases of genocide typically take multiple years, but the ICJ issued several provisional measures to prevent the possibility of a genocide taking place, provisional measures which Israel has failed to follow completely. And then there was, of course, the International Criminal Court, who issued arrest warrants for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and former Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant, who are now wanted international war criminals. Towards the start of his video,
they're
Ethan
monsters. They're
mentions
murderers.
a death toll figure of 40,000 Palestinian people.
Of course, if you compare the raw numbers, Gazans have lost a lot more than Israelis. 40,000 people have died, and neighborhoods have been completely flattened during...
Sorry, two things. I look like shit, but he looks ghoulish. Second, Donald Trump, like, low-key confirmed that they killed 500,000 Palestinians. Fuck Ethan.
This war.
The figure he cites is wrong. It's just wrong. Credible estimates have placed the full scale of the slaughter in Gaza at over 65,000 deaths due to traumatic injury alone, with further projections that include indirect deaths in the hundreds of thousands, potentially over 10% of the population of Gaza. Ethan's brief and false citation leaves a lot of other things unmentioned, like how the vast majority of these deaths have been Palestinian civilians, including over 15,000 children.
Oh, I'm not
The United
subscribed to
Nations
Noah's
described
shit.
Gaza as a graveyard
I'm
for
fucking
children
up.
just months into the genocide, and after that, Israel only ramped up its child killing. Ethan does not mention that over 1,200 families have been completely erased from the Gaza civil registry, meaning that every single member of their bloodline has been killed. Nor does he mention that the mass slaughter of these innocent civilians has been intentional. Israel has a long history of intentionally targeting Palestinian civilians for slaughter. This dates back to the Nakba, the ethnic cleansing of over 700,000 Palestinians from their land in 1948, which included the massacre of thousands of civilians. And it's also evident in all of Israel's many previous violent incursions into Gaza specifically. During Operation Cast Lead, starting in late 2008 to 2009, Israel slaughtered about 1,400 Palestinian people. 300 of those were children. During this widespread massacre, Israel ordered people to shelter in schools, so-called humanitarian safe zones, then proceeded to bomb the schools and kill people by the dozens. This practice has continued at an even larger scale in the latest escalation in Gaza.
Firas, my brother Firas, he screams. The pain is overwhelming as corpses lie by his feet.
Americans have no concept for this level of
These are the
violence.
moments
Like,
just after an Israeli strike
it is
on
hell.
schools,
Like,
sheltering
Gaza is
thousands of
hell.
displaced Palestinians.
And Israel
During the 2018
Israel is
border
behaving like
protests
the
of
devil.
Great March of Return, which were recognized by human rights organizations as being overwhelmingly peaceful, Israel fired on the peaceful crowds with sniper rifles, injuring thousands and killing hundreds. The UN reports concluded that Israeli snipers were intentionally targeting children, medics, pregnant women, and disabled people. Israeli snipers later publicly, gleefully recounted their experiences of hunting Palestinians for sport, bragging about the number
Fucking
of kneecaps they could
monsters.
shatter. This trend has continued in Israel's latest escalation since October 7th to an extreme degree. IDF snipers are intentionally targeting children for execution by shooting them in the skull and in the heart. Healthcare workers have testified to seeing Israeli drones hovering outside of hospitals, picking off children. That's where they're shooting them and injuring them and then circling back to execute them.
What I think I found particularly disturbing was that a bomb would drop maybe on a crowded, tented area, and then the drones would come down and
Please take your time. We're incredibly grateful.
so the drones would come down and pick off civilians, children, and we had description after description. This is not, an occasional thing. This was day after day after day, operating on children who would say, I was lying on the ground after a bomb had dropped, and this quadcopter came down and hovered over me and shot me. And that's clearly a deliberate act, and it was a persistent act, persistent targeting of civilians day after day. We had 1 or 2 mass casualty incidents every day, and that meant 10 to 20 dead, 20 to 40 seriously injured.
Just hunting Palestinian children for sport. It's pure terrorism. The Israelis also have a history of murdering Palestinian civilians by running them over with bulldozers and tanks. Recall the story of the killing of Kamal Zair from April of 2002. Israeli tanks shot and killed him and then proceeded to run him over. He was 57 years old, wheelchair-bound, and waving a white flag. Another prominent case of this was Rachel Corrie, a 23-year-old American peace activist who was murdered by an Israeli bulldozer while protesting the destruction of Palestinian homes in Gaza. Israelis, for years after her murder, celebrated the day by making pancakes with Rachel Corrie's face painted into them. In the latest escalation, individual Israeli soldiers have admitted to committing these atrocities by the hundreds. The only reason we have these admissions is because Western outlets have written articles with concerns over how the mass murdering affects these soldiers' mental health. Another element to the case that Israel is committing genocide is its continuous intentional deprivation of the basic necessities for life for Palestinians in Gaza. They've been using starvation as a weapon of war, a war crime, and a crime against humanity. Most recently, Israel's response to the quote-unquote ceasefire in Gaza is to continue this mass starvation while explicitly stating it as a matter of policy. They have blocked humanitarian aid throughout the genocide in violation of international law, the ceasefire orders, and the ICJ's provisional measures against genocide genocide. The pretext they've fabricated for this policy of intentional starvation is that Hamas is looting these aid trucks. They have provided no evidence for this claim. What we do have evidence for is that Israel has protected and supported criminal gangs with ties to ISIS in areas that Israel has full control over, and these groups have been looting aid trucks. Israel is intentionally depriving Palestinians in Gaza of access to clean water. Oxfam reported that Israel has destroyed over 1,000 miles of water and sanitation networks, leaving less than 7% of pre-war water levels in Rafah and North Gaza. Israel has also partially or entirely destroyed over 80% of water and sanitation.
It's not just the world's largest open-air prison; it's the world's largest concentration camp.
Brutal, violent attacks on the healthcare system are another aspect.
They're just killing these people.
They've damaged or destroyed every single hospital in
They're
Gaza
human
and
beings.
murdered countless medical workers, doctors, nurses, rescue workers, and healthcare staff. They've kidnapped doctors and held them without charge, where they've been tortured. Dr. Adnan al-Bursh, Gaza's leading orthopedic surgeon, was kidnapped by Israeli soldiers, brought to an Israeli prison, and then reportedly raped to death. The latest UN reports have concluded that over 90% of the buildings in Gaza have been severely damaged or completely destroyed. If you watch any of the footage coming out of Gaza, this is made quite clear. Israel's destruction includes every single school, hospital, mosque, cultural center, church, residential areas. Everything has been bombed. It's estimated that it will take a minimum of 15 years to remove the debris and unexploded ordinances from the Gaza Strip. That's just removing it, by the way, not rebuilding. In September, the UN released an estimate that because of Israel's illegal and inhumane blockade...
With numbers like these, it needs to be said, the Israelis they'll finish off killing them. Like, they're going to go in there and they're going to destroy what is left of Gaza. And I mean, like, they will go through the streets and kill the survivors, like, one by one. Like, that's coming. Like, they've leveled it. They've flattened it all. It's ready for them to take over and do better with it than what the Palestinians did, which is just try to live there. And some might escape. Like, some refugees might get out, but, like, there will be 1 million more dead before the Israelis are even close to being satisfied, until their thirst for the blood of Palestinian children is sated. So yeah.
Around Gaza, which regularly limits the transfer of things like concrete into the Strip. Fully rebuilding Gaza will take 350 years. Gaza is about 25 miles long and 5 miles wide. It is one of the most densely populated areas on Earth. It is in this area that Israel has dropped equivalent to that of multiple nuclear weapons. Israel has done this with full knowledge that over half the population of Gaza is children. So no, this isn't just a case where 40,000 people died. A lot more than that happened. One of the most tragic elements of the Gaza genocide is that, as crucial as it may be for the factual record and eventually holding the perpetrators accountable, merely recounting these statistics does not afford Palestinians the dignity of humanity. They are simply reduced to numbers, to tens of thousands of names on a registry, as if they aren't human beings with dreams, hopes, hobbies, interests, and love for the people around them. If you've had this...
I'm sorry, I don't know if anyone saw that. All those names listed were age 1. Age 1. Fucking Israeli Zionist dogs.
Feeling as well, I want to recommend a book. It's called If I Must Die. It's written by renowned Palestinian poet, author, and teacher Dr. Rafat Al-Arir. It's full of stories and poetry and history about life, or rather survival, in Gaza during occupation and genocide. It is beautifully written and humanizing beyond anything you'll ever get from most coverage of Gaza, especially in the West. I have a friend from Gaza. His name's Ahmed Sarsour, and he's a very talented poet. We got in contact on social media, and when I read his work, it moved me in a very similar way to the way Dr. Rafat's words have. Ahmed has a sister, Rania. She is a mother and a gynecologist from Gaza and is seeking help after being displaced in February of last year. She and her children were forced to flee their home, and her life was further devastated when her home and her family members' homes were destroyed. She gave birth to her baby, Rose, in a hospital without proper care and no anesthetic, and now faces a dire situation with limited resources. I've linked your fundraiser in the description. Support if you can. The funds raised will go towards essentials like diapers, baby formula, medicine, basic basic living items, rent, and travel expenses for relocation. Another friend of mine, Ahmed Matar, is a 27-year-old inventor from Gaza. He makes these brilliant videos showing the process of constructing creative inventions to use in order to survive in Gaza. After the so-called ceasefire was implemented, Ahmed and his family returned to their home in the north only to find that it had been looted, vandalized, and destroyed by the occupation forces. Support his campaign if you can. I will leave these fundraisers as well as a link to Dr. Al-Arir's book in the description. The book is devastating, though, especially considering the fate of its author. Dr. Rifat was killed by Israel in a targeted assassination in December of 2023. He was killed alongside his brother, Salah.
Yep. I heard about that.
With his son Muhammad and his sister Asma and 3 of her children. This came after having over 30 members of his and his wife's family slaughtered by Israel over the course of their lives. What these numbers also fail to communicate is the weight and depth the effects of this crime has had and will continue to have for generations. To speak only of the children of Gaza, they will forever hold the wounds and trauma caused by Israel's genocide in their minds and hearts. It was reported that when asked, over half of the children in Gaza expressed a desire to die. Many of them already held such wounds, though, of course, but in terms of sheer scale and intensity, what we're seeing now is incomprehensible except to those
Sorry, one little bit of light levity in between the horror. In the Cyberstuck subreddit, somebody posted that the reason the panels are coming off on the Cybertrucks is because they used the wrong glue. Which, come to think of it, now that I'm looking at that, it doesn't even look like urethane. Like, I don't know what these idiots were doing. Here, I'm going to let this play for a minute. I need to go to the bathroom and I need to, like, not think about this horror for... I need a minute.
Experiencing it. Throughout these 17 months of genocide, the international community has left the people of Gaza to languish and die. If there's anything we've learned about Israel in the past 100 years, it's that there is no crime they can commit that won't go unpunished, up to and including genocide. In the latest escalation, again, the world has watched this happen and done nothing. And some have, of course, actively made this genocide possible. Most notably, that would be the United States government. The US and the Biden administration is fully complicit in this genocide. They've repeatedly sent billions of dollars in weapons shipments and provided military and diplomatic support. Over 80% of the killing machinery that has been used to slaughter Palestinians in Gaza has been provided by the United States government. They've also provided rhetorical and diplomatic support by whitewashing Israel's crimes against humanity, laundering Israeli atrocity propaganda, and denying and dismissing genocide allegations. That last one should come as no surprise, given that a genocide ruling against Israel does also implicate the United States in the crime of aiding and abetting genocide, since they sent the bombs that made it possible. The ICC is already being urged to investigate Joe Biden and Antony Blinken for their role in perpetrating this very crime. These actions have shown the U.S. to be acting in violation of both domestic and international laws by sending weapons to a regime that is actively and intentionally blocking access to humanitarian aid against a civilian population that they are occupying, and ignoring the arrest warrants issued by the International Criminal Court against Netanyahu and Gallant. This is just another plot on the long chart of the US and Israel's position as rogue states in the international community. There's a comment I saw on Ethan Klein's video. It read, "I feel like a lot of people can't separate Israelis and the Israeli government, and the same with the other side. Like, you are allowed to hate on the people who actually kill people and not hate the innocent adults and children that are being killed from both sides." This is a popular framing among liberals and liberal outlets, that we should separate the Israeli people from the actions of their government. While there are some examples from the past where this may be true, such as the case of the American public's attitudes towards the end of the Vietnam War, which diverged from their government, the same cannot be said in the case of Israel. The vast majority of the Israeli public supports this genocide. Months into the genocide, polling showed that over 95% of Jewish Israelis supported the IDF's actions, with a majority of those indicating that the IDF was not using enough force in Gaza. The force in question there being, genocide. They wanted more. It wasn't enough, apparently. 17 months later, and nothing has really changed. Just weeks ago, polling indicated that the Trump administration's plan to facilitate the ethnic cleansing of Gazans was supported by over 80% of Israelis. This headline refers to Israelis as a whole, but that 80% support statistic is actually only the perspective of Jewish Israelis. A majority of Palestinians with Israeli citizenship, or Arab Israelis, as the Israeli government tries to call them, considers this ethnic cleansing plan to be immoral. When it comes to Jewish Israelis, however, that number drops to just 3%. This should come as no surprise, given Israel's history. A country that exists on the logic of ethnic supremacy and colonization requires a certain level of dehumanization to keep its inhabitants from collapsing under the weight of the reality of their rotten society. Another way to get a handle on the seemingly ubiquitous genocidal fervor among Israelis is by just talking to them.
How many civilians have been killed in Gaza, from what you know?
Who gives a shit?
Okay, but
Fucking
don't you feel
dog.
like, for example, children?
Children grow up to be Arabs. I read the numbers last week. My memory died and went to heaven. I don't
They're
think
they're Arab. Like
should
just
suffer,
I mean they're
but they're
brown. Who
okay.
cares? They're children.
Since they do a lot of pruervu,
Sweetie, not now.
that is the natural result.
חפים מפשע נהרגו בעזה.
I'll be in bed in a minute, hon.
את לא רוצה לענות על זה?
תודה.
אוקיי, אפשר לשאול למה?
כי אני לא חושבת שיש מישהו שהוא חף פשע שם.
They're children.
אבל מה,
Right.
ילדים אבל, נגיד.
הילדים מסכנים, אין ספק, אבל הם לא יגדלו להיות ילדים חפים מפשע.
She's cool with killing innocent children.
Of the kids there that are getting killed, I never support little children dying. You know, I never want to.
And he's about to do it.
But most of them will grow up not only supporting Hamas, which is a crime.
I don't support innocent children dying. And then but I think we should kill. Like, what the fuck is that?
Crime by itself.
Sweetie, I'll be in
but
bed in a
joining
minute. Come
them,
on.
Which is the worst of the worst.
פשע נהרגו בעזה.
לא, זה גם לא מעניין אותי.
לא? למה?
לא מעניין אותי.
See, okay, because this is why I don't see Israelis. I don't see Zionist dogs as people.
אחרי זה הבנתי שאין עם מי לדבר, כולם שם מחבלים. לצערי הרב.
אבל ילדים, כאילו.
לא, אני אומרת בכנות, לא מעניין אותי.
There is no such thing as Palestinians. They're Arabs who have many countries to flee to and nobody wants them to.
Zionist dog.
But if we do call them Palestinians, their parents use them as human shields to gain sympathy.
Don't
The
shoot
natural
them.
instinct of a Jewish mother
They're
is to
children. Don't
protect
shoot
the
them.
world. Palestinian women do not have that.
They don't have an iron dome protecting them. Stop shooting kids.
Posted on the internet or shared on the mainstream news. This is normal to them. This is normal in their society, which is a testament to the fact that their society is not normal. It's typically bad
It's
form
not.
to cite street interviews as being some meaningful indicator of widespread attitudes. But again, with Israel, it's just different. Not just because these attitudes align perfectly with the wider Israeli polling data, but also because it's almost impossible to find anyone in Israel saying anything else. The amount of truly anti-Zionist Israelis living in Israel numbers in the hundreds. This figure is according to anti-Zionist Israelis themselves. They are alone.
Everyone around us are completely genocidal maniacs. Everyone around you. And I don't mean it metaphorically. It's not metaphorically. It's literally everybody. It will be your
That's
family,
literally
it will
just
be
her
your
opinion.
teachers, it will be your colleagues. Everyone around you. So you're alone. Even if we will gather all of those anti-Zionists together from Jerusalem or Tel Aviv or Haifa or whatever, it will not be more than, I don't know, 500?
There's no tangible internal opposition within the country. The Israeli left is a myth. This is reflected once more in the openly genocidal sentiment we see on social media from IDF terrorists who have been willingly, gleefully, posting their own war crimes on the internet for everyone to see for a year and a half.
They go into the homes of Palestinians, and they're often clearly staying there, and they just smash them up, and they film themselves smashing them up.
I watched a Sam Cedar video recently. They were talking about how the IDF doesn't even care about respecting or liking like the CIA or the FBI. It's like when they go over there for like some diplomatic thing, like the IDF will go into like, oh yeah, like they don't respect like U.S. ambassadors or anything like that. They'll go into their homes, move stuff around, bug them. They'll do whatever they want. and like one of these U.S. ambassadors, after doing like a 2-year term, as they were about to leave, like him and his wife went out for dinner, and they came back home, and their dog was hiding underneath their bed, and they didn't know what was wrong, and its fucking tail was cut off. Like, the IDF, like Israel, is insane. Like they're lunatics. They're monsters. That's why they can headshot children and genocide a whole people, because they're monsters.
They also
No two ways about it.
in going through women's underwear drawers. And
This is
a sort of
insane.
recurring
This is
obsession.
insane.
You see Israeli soldier videos in the context of the broader output of Israeli society.
If you gave me a button to just erase Gaza, every single living being in Gaza would no longer be living tomorrow, I would press it in a second.
He would smash that button through the ground, baby. He would whip his cock out and slam it on that button, like bam, 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 bam. Like, in fact, he would pull it up to undo. It's in there. She has it. He would pull it. He would rip it back up to bring them all back to life and slam it back down again. This is the bald-headed fuck. Fuck this guy. This piece of shit.
I would press it right now. Give me that button and press it right now. There you go.
No, it's shameless. Absolutely shameless. They're human beings, you dog. Like, what? Like, imagine telling Holocaust survivors, like, that, like, these people would claim to be, like, of your tribe, that they would gleefully do to a whole score of people what was done to you, but worse. Like, how? Why?
And I think most Israelis would.
There's an Israeli song called This Was My Home. What they would do is dress up as caricatures of obviously what they perceive Palestinians to be, being sung mockingly.
This is insane. This is madness. Coming from a guy wearing a mask, doing this at like what, 1 in the morning? Fuck.
This is mainstream Israeli society.
People have been keeping tabs on this. There are a number of archives documenting the names and crimes of these Israeli terrorists. One of the most thorough of these databases was created by a historian, Lee Mordecai. It's called Bearing Witness to the Israel-Gaza War. It is presently over 120 pages long with extremely detailed footnotes. There's that one tweet that's like, you know, hitting translate from Hebrew on Twitter is like discovering a lost page from Mein Kampf. This holds up pretty well. Here, let's try it on this tweet. The survivors of the 2025 Holocaust are proof that every trace of the murderous mutations in Gaza must be erased, from delivery rooms to the last elderly person in Gaza. 100% dead in Gaza. That there is Barashi Kinneret, the host of a mainstream Israeli news channel. One more example that I found particularly striking was the Right to Rape protests. A group of Israeli prison guards were placed under investigation after security camera footage leaked showing them gang raping a Palestinian prisoner. The Israeli public reacted in uproar, not because of what they were alleged to have done, but because they were potentially going to be punished for it. Protests were held outside of the prison, attended by top Israeli officials. Mainstream Israeli news channels brought on one of the alleged rapist soldiers for interviews, supporting him and his right to kill and rape Palestinian hostages. Again, this wasn't some extremist fluke. It was reflected in broader polling of the Israeli public. According to a poll taken around that time, 65% of Israeli Jews oppose criminal prosecution for soldiers suspected of raping Palestinian detainees. And 47%
But yeah, don't be
of
mean to
Jewish
Ethan
Israelis
Klein.
answered
You don't
that
wanna do
Israel does
that.
not need to abide by international law and maintain moral values in the war. Simply put, it's a genocidal society, top to bottom. Perhaps the most complicit party to enabling this genocide, aside from the material support of Western governments, is the Western media. As previously mentioned, this support largely takes two forms: the more overt kinds, like spreading misinformation and explicit Israeli state and IDF propaganda, and the other, more subtle, yet significantly more frequent and effective, is that of manufacturing consent. Reporting on Palestinians has some clear differences in coverage, language, and framing when compared with other groups. In the first 100 days after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, 262 children were killed. In the first 100 days of Israel's assault on Gaza, more than 10,000 children were killed. The true number is likely much higher, but mentions of child deaths and related terms were 33.4% higher for Ukraine than for Gaza. During this time frame, CNN mentioned mentioned child victims of the war 2,446 times for Ukraine versus 2,110 times for Gaza, and MSNBC mentioned child victims of the Ukraine war 1,775 times versus 1,522 times for Gaza. This means that for each child death from Ukraine, children receive the equivalent of 16.1 mentions on air, whereas children in Gaza receive the equivalent of 0.36 mentions. MSNBC did not run a single segment in the first 100 days that focused specifically and exclusively on the plight of children.
Notice
in
how
Gaza.
Noah
MSNBC
isn't
ran
like
over
he's
a
as
dozen
trimmed
segments
back as
focusing
possible for
specifically
this.
on the plight of Ukrainian children during
Like,
the first 100 days of that conflict. Emotive language was
gray-
barely ever used
gray
to describe
white
the
background,
killing of
gray white
Palestinians.
shirt.
This comes despite the vastly higher
him and
death
the mic.
toll over the same period. On CNN and MSNBC, the words war crime and genocide were mentioned 17 times more in the context of Ukraine than in the context of Gaza. Ukrainian victims were labeled as subject to war crimes or genocide 1,790 times compared to just 104 mentions for Palestinians. And we still see this now, obviously. During the hostage exchanges as a result of the latest so-called ceasefire, for example, you may notice that Palestinians detained without charges in Israeli jails, of which there are thousands, they are referred to as prisoners, whereas the IDF soldiers, that is, actual militants that were captured by Hamas on October 7th, are referred to as hostages. One of the greatest tweets of all time that I've ever seen described the capture of an IDF terrorist during October 7th as him being kidnapped from a tank. Kidnapped from a tank. Kidnapped from a tank. Coverage has been focused almost exclusively on the condition of these IDF quote-unquote hostages, rarely making mention of Israel's contribution to their condition, like how they starve out the population of Gaza, which obviously affects all of the people in Gaza, including the Israeli hostages in Gaza, or the fact that they rain airstrikes on them all day, every day for 16 months straight. Is that good for your health? Is that healthy? The same cannot be said of coverage of the Palestinian hostages. Despite emerging from these Israeli jails with clear evidence of extreme physical abuse, images of the Palestinian hostages are rarely, if ever, shown. The assumption is just granted. It's relied on that they're terrorists, criminals, and whatever else. So whatever happens to them, that's just what happens in jail. The Western media lies in other subtle ways, like burying the lead in stories and deceptively framing headlines. This is especially apparent in coverage of things like ceasefire negotiations. These outlets have consistently framed the lack of agreement to terms as being Hamas's fault, that they won't agree to Israel's terms, but they interestingly decide to use only one definition of the ceasefire agreement, which is Israel's definition, that being one which is only temporary, with no guarantees that the genocide will end after these temporary pauses. They're not really ceasefires, but in order to frame Hamas as disagreeing with them, that's what they have to call them. The ceasefire that ended up being agreed upon in January was the exact same ceasefire that Hamas had agreed to over 6 months prior. Israel continually sabotaged these negotiations, but if you read any of these mainstream outlets, you wouldn't know that, not until the very end of these articles, at least. The latest reporting on these negotiations continued this trend of misleading coverage, such as this story from early February. The majority of the article, headline included, frames Hamas as the instigator to a potential ceasefire failure. However, both independent observers and Israeli officials themselves acknowledged that it was actually Israel who had already broken the terms of the ceasefire agreement immediately after it was implemented. To anyone with a brain and eyes, this would be apparent given the evidence we have of these violations, but because these outlets didn't show their readers that and also prioritize the input of party committing genocide, this citation here is crucial for its readers. They need to see this to understand what's happening. But the New York Times waited to mention it until 9 paragraphs in, like basically the end of the article. This is a textbook example of bearing the lead, but it also goes beyond that into just a lie, right? The entire article is framed in precisely the opposite way of what this confirmed fact revealed. If the Times weren't running cover for a genocide, the headline of this article would read, "Israel violates ceasefire, confirmed by Israeli officials." Probably the most insane example of this sort of thing is the following headline, once again from the New York Times. Lebanon's ceasefire appears to hold despite Israeli strike. If Israel struck, they violated the ceasefire. The ceasefire did not hold. Israel violated it. It's just absurd. The genocide is referred to almost exclusively as the Israel-Hamas war. Like the Nazi Holocaust, Israel's genocide in Gaza has been conducted under the pretext of war, but the genocide aspect, of which there is, again,
Fun fact, that's why we're deporting Venezuelans. We're at war with Tren de Aragua, which is an arm of the Venezuelan government. Nazi shit. It's just Nazi
really
shit.
Is not just a war.
It's just fucking Nazi shit.
That doesn't
Fuck!
happen, though. Trump recently made a number of statements explicitly supporting U.S. assistance to the ethnic cleansing of Gaza, including land development by U.S. companies. One tool I found helpful to compare these differences in this sort of coverage is Ground News, who are also the sponsor of today's video. The coverage from right-wing outlets
Made by
Red State
Ryan Grimm.
frames the comments as explicitly
I have
positive.
issues here
Trump
and there with
Netanyahu
Ryan, but overall,
unveiling
great
a
guy.
bold plan
Overall,
for
great
Gaza
guy.
and peace. On Ground News, this outlet has a low factuality tag, which means that they often omit key details. Some liberal to left-leaning outlets like New York Magazine, an outlet with a high factuality label indicating they typically rely on well-researched reporting, did explicitly call Trump's proposed plan a case of ethnic cleansing. Other left-leaning outlets centered the extreme nature of his language in the headlines, such as The Intercept, with an article titled "Trump, the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip," or the proposed plan's effect on Palestinians, like Middle East Eye, with their article headlined "We'll Own It. Trump wants to make Gaza a holiday hub without Palestinians." Ground News is an app and website that lets you compare media coverage across political biases while calculating each source's reliability so you can see how framing shapes public perception from sources around the world. Without understanding the different biases behind the news you read, you might not realize how skewed the narrative is. Unlike other platforms, Ground News is independent and nonpartisan, so they have no stake in promoting any agenda, just the facts and how those facts are presented. It's not always about how a story is spun, but equally important, as we've seen, is the information that other platforms choose to leave out. Liberal outrage over this story has been almost entirely focused on Trump's comments, but ignores the bigger picture, the fact that it was the Biden administration who made this ethnic cleansing plan possible by facilitating the total annihilation of Gaza, and that it was the Biden administration that proposed this ethnic cleansing plan in the first place. And yet, there's only one source that leads with this crucial piece of context. Ground News made it easy to find the story and have it compared with all the rest. Ground News specifically created their blind spot feed to highlight the stories only picked up by certain politically slanted outlets so you can see the world as it is, not through the partisan narratives these outlets want you to. These are just a few of the ways that Ground News helps me research stories, stay informed, and understand the way information is being presented is just as important as the information itself. I highly recommend checking it out. For a limited time, you can get the same all-access Vantage plan I use for 40% off. It's just $5 a month for a platform that actually encourages you to think for yourself. Go to ground.news/Noah or scan this QR code to sign up today. Thanks again to Ground News for supporting the channel. Now let's get back to the video. When Israelis and top Israeli officials participated in the right to rape protests we talked about earlier, protesting the Israeli right to rape and murder Palestinian hostages, these events were summarized by the New York Times as unrest. They were framed around the protest's effect on the party that was doing the protest, that is, again, the right to rape protest, and not on the fact that Israeli guards raped a Palestinian hostage, it was captured on video, and that the case was clear-cut enough that they actually called for an investigation for once, unlike 99% of previous cases of the IDF abusing, raping, torturing, and murdering Palestinians. In this article, the guards' actions against the Palestinian hostage are described vaguely and passively as just abuse, and it is not revealed until the very
It's just
end of
a
the
prank,
article
bro.
that the abuse took the form
We're just
of the
raping you
guards
for fun,
raping
bro.
a man
Just
with an
come on.
object. The follow-up story
Be
on
cool,
the
bro.
prosecution of these soldiers uses this same disgusting framing. Rape with an object is whitewashed in the headline and most of the article as simply just being abuse. This is yet another case of the framing of false neutrality, as this quote-unquote divide between the Israeli right and the Israeli left in this article doesn't actually exist. In reality, all that divide means is that the Israeli right are pro-rape and murder of Palestinian detainees, and the Israeli left thinks it makes their country look bad. There's no real debate going on here. A personal favorite of mine for its sheer absurdity was an article from the New York Times called "It Can Be Lonely to Have Middle-of-the-Road Opinions on the Middle East," which focused on college students that were seeking space for nuanced perspectives on the Israel-Hamas war. The perspective presented in this article is one-sided. They talk about extremism in student movements, but the only example they give for this point is that of the extremist Palestinian activists. The New York Times calls it a war with no reference to the numerous credible allegations allegations of genocide. It's harder to justify having a conversation about nuanced opinions of genocide, so they just call it a war. There's no nuance in genocide. There's nothing progressive about genocide. This tendency to falsely frame a genocide with neutrality will often slip into outright endorsement. Recall Israel's pager terrorist attack in Lebanon when they detonated over 1,000 pagers rigged with explosive. This was a widespread mass terrorist attack that indiscriminately targeted civilians and left hundreds dead and permanently injured and disfigured, including a number of children.
أول شيء أنا كنت إنه قاعد عم بلعب على التليفون وهي إنه فجرت الساعة 3 إنه قبل ما أنا أحملها عم بلعب على التليفون هيك صارت ترن غريبة أنا إنه قمت حملتها حطيت لي ايرور وسهم إنه عشان أكبس أوكي والضوء صار يغبش على الآخر يعني عشان نقربها لعيوننا أنا قربت عشان نشوف شو فيه بس فقعت ما عرفت شيء.
Among those murdered was Fatima Abdullah, a 9-year-old girl. At her funeral, as well as other funerals with large crowds of people, Israel detonated more of these explosives.
Fucking animals.
Despite this being a child-killing and maiming indiscriminate terrorist attack in violation of international law, in Western liberal media it was presented as a cool James Bond-style operation. It was described using words like ambitious, sophisticated, and daring.
The Israeli spy agency Mossad launched one of the most daring and sophisticated deceptions in the history of counterintelligence.
An extraordinary act of espionage, an example of Israel's technological prowess. According to the New York Times, the attack restored the aura of Israel's intelligence agencies. Before covering the attack, these outlets always, of course, make sure to mention Hezbollah's U.S. designation as a terrorist organization. Don't worry, guys, they were just terrorists, nothing to see here. We got the bad guys. They were bad, we are good, mission accomplished. And of course, as we've touched on a couple times, lying by omission. That's another thing. With every previous example, you see it. The Israeli hostages receive wall-to-wall coverage with no mention of the fact that the majority of the deaths of these hostages were a product of the Israeli military through airstrikes or firing on hostages while they were waving white flags, or that on October 7th, Israel issued the Hannibal Directive, killing likely many hundreds of its own civilians as a matter of official policy. One of the really effective propaganda strategies that results from these lies by omissions comes in the case of genocide allegations. Western outlets rarely, if ever, actually mention the numerous allegations of genocide levied against Israel. The few times that they do, they're often brief, unspecific, and accompanied with equivocation or lengthy citations of Israel's defense against the allegations. When the New York Times covered the Amnesty International Genocide Report, the subheading immediately backtracks into running cover for Israel. Israel rejected the charge, the first of its kind by a major human rights organization, saying it was based on lies. The Times went on to spend more of the article sharing the IDF's defense against the allegations than any of the findings from the actual report. Amnesty International gave us 300 pages of facts about genocide. Israel says that they're just lies. I guess we'll never know what happened here. That's not journalism, that's propaganda. When Human Rights Watch released their report accusing Israel of committing crimes against humanity and genocide through its deliberate deprivation of access to clean drinking water, readers of...
So I'll tell you something, like, I just noticed this, and maybe I'm crazy, but like, he hasn't even gotten to the YouTubers yet, which is great. Like, he's covering the insanity that these people are like sane washing. Good on Noah. Like, Noah's always done good work, and this, I mean, I think this is his best piece. Like, it's heartbreaking, but it's good. He's doing an amazing job. God bless him.
The New York Times wouldn't have heard about that because the New York Times just didn't report it. That's one of the top human rights organizations in the world, accusing the #1 ally of the most powerful country in the world of the crime of all crimes. And they just forgot? No, they didn't forget. The editorial staff at the New York Times knows that they've helped this. They know that they are complicit in this. So any chance they get to just sort of forget to mention something as consequential as a genocide allegation from the leading human rights group in the world, they'll do it. Of course they will. This tracks with the BBC's repeated genocide denial, evident in repeated instances of reporters condemning or correcting guests for using the word genocide to describe Israel's actions in Gaza.
Israel would deny that a genocide is taking place, saying that it is defending its right to exist. Its very existence, indeed, they would say, is under threat. So there are obviously two sides to this.
This whole issue of right of self-defense has allowed Israel to inflict the mass murder and mass destruction, what the ICJ now describe as plausible genocide. This
Can I
is
just
not,
say,
this is not an act of
you know what I'm going to have to say. I'm going to say Israel denies that. They say that they were in pursuit of Hamas terrorists who hid behind their own people.
This is a genocide happening in front of our eyes.
And Israel's just lying.
That word is, as you know, incredibly emotive, and the Israelis, as you know, will be saying that they are targeting Hamas only, that they don't target civilians.
Not the
These
truth,
are
unfortunately.
planned, military incursions.
Yes, but that's not the truth.
Yes, civilians are
unfortunately.
dying.
Civilians are dying, and the way that the bombs are getting dropped, I don't believe are in a targeted way. Nothing from what I'm hearing on the ground suggests that the bombs have been dropped in a targeted way. Our social media manager, all 5 houses around him got blown up. They estimate 100 people were killed in them. Yesterday, his house was the last one remaining in the neighborhood. They leveled an entire neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you,
and I do need to make that qualification, of course, that that it is always denied by the Israelis that genocide is taking place. They say these are strategic planned strikes in Gaza and that they are targeting the militant group Hamas.
But I'm here to let the world know that that's not the case.
Kareem, you've been able to have your say. This is what the Israelis
He barely got a chance to do his
This
say.
effort to whitewash and run cover for the genocide has been intentional, of course, and we have the proof. It's been confirmed with direct evidence and testimony, with internal newsroom memos from not only the BBC, but the New York Times as well. And the last thing to talk about is just atrocity propaganda. One of the primary justifications for the genocide in Gaza is that members of Hamas are not just militants, but that they are monsters, pure evil motivated by nothing more than the sadistic hatred of Jews. This narrative has been fueled by stories of horrors that supposedly took place on October 7th. Hamas burned babies in ovens.
They burnt babies alive?
They put children and burned them.
Alleged sex predator, piece of shit. I can't remember this guy.
To death.
They cut the breasts off of women.
400 women shot in the genitals, their breasts cut off
Liar.
as terrorists played with their bloody breasts like a football.
They cut off the breasts of women and throw them around.
They beheaded 40 babies.
I never really thought that I would see
Misinformed
and
old
have
crazy person.
confirmed pictures of terrorists beheading children.
They behead children.
He
They
didn't
cut the
see them.
fetus out of the womb of a pregnant woman. They committed a campaign of systematized mass rape.
There is no justification for collective rape.
What happened on October 7th was mass, systematic, planned rape and genital mutilation of women.
All of these claims are false, complete fabrications, full stop. No credible evidence has been provided for any of them. Many were shown to be deliberately fabricated, and despite this, they were spread far and wide and ultimately used as rhetorical justification to continue the genocidal onslaught in Gaza. The first major place this narrative broke was Screams Without Words, a front-page New York Times story in late December of 2023. This story came as Israel's actions in Gaza were starting to receive widespread condemnation from the international community. The story was thoroughly debunked. The person who wrote it discredited as being a genocidal Zionist with no history of reporting and self-admitting that the New York Times pushed for this story to come to the public despite the lack of credible evidence. The New York Times podcast, The Daily, shelved the episode due to a lack of credible evidence. But the New York Times never retracted the story, which is because they had no real pressure to do so. The false narrative had already prevailed, and that narrative was consistent with the status quo of the American empire, for whom they are running cover. In July of last year, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu repeated some of these lies in front of Congress. He received a standing ovation. 3 weeks later, the White House approved a $20 billion military aid package to Israel. They explicitly cited Netanyahu's visit as one of their motivations for doing so. Atrocity propaganda has consequences. So with that context out of the way about the Gaza genocide and its support from the West and within Israel, the broader media system that allowed it to happen, let's now return to Ethan's video. In the content nuke, you can find just about every type of what we just looked at in terms of manufacturing consent.
That was amazingly detailed and thorough of Noah. I'm exhausted, but I want to make sure that, again, I've said it again, like, good work, Noah. Thank you.
Ethan spreads atrocity propaganda. He shares the Hamas mass rape hoax, the same hoax that was used by the Western media, the US government, and the Israeli government to justify a genocide. He cites the same sources that these parties cite when they go on stage to legitimize more military killing machinery shipments to Israel.
And October 7, last year, Hamas committed horrific acts of sexual violence. Cheryl, I thank you for all your work to bring to light the horrors of this issue and for your film. about what happened on October 7.
In his video, Ethan spreads overt misinformation, just straight up lies about Hezbollah and Ansar Allah, or the Houthis, in order to delegitimize their struggle against Israel's genocide. He cites baseless claims from Saudi state propaganda outlets to attack the Houthis. He also cites a documentary about Ansar Allah, which he uses as proof of the claim that they brought back slavery, when the documentary wasn't even about the Houthis. It was about the Yemeni government before the Houthi takeover. He spreads long debunked Nakba denialist talking points that have been used for decades to legitimize Israeli colonization of Palestine. Ethan cites sources that contradict his own claims directly, such as the UN report he claims proves the Hamas mass rapes allegation.
There's a UN report that concludes it happened,
which the report itself denies. He spends 20 minutes in the video smearing a 19-year-old survivor of the US-backed Saudi genocide in Yemen as a terrorist with zero credible evidence. He makes a number of transparently false anti-Semitism accusations, like his claim that Israel's ban on new account signups from Israel was anti-Semitic.
Around the end of the year, when people started talking about anti-Semitism on Twitch, Dan Saltman discovered the Israel ban when he was sent the code proving the block happened.
In reality, the ban also affected millions of non-Jews living in Israel and Palestinians in Palestine, as shown in the evidence he himself cites. The IP ban went into effect in both. Like all these Western liberal outlets, Ethan just takes the State Department line of thinking when it comes to terrorism, which his video is ostensibly a crusade against. By his own definition of terrorism, both the US and Israel are the largest terrorist organizations in the world, given their history of killing millions of innocent civilians across the globe. His focus is not on them, though, rather the groups that they consider to be terrorists, aka, the bad guys. He actually uses those exact words. He says they're the bad guys.
They are a designated terrorist group by the US, by the EU. These guys are clearly the bad guys.
The entire video is kind of a lie by omission, simply because of everything we just went over. How none of it is a factor, how none of the people viewing the video that are unfamiliar with what's happening would ever come away with his video knowing the full picture, knowing some of the very valid reasons why someone like Hassan might be critical of Israeli atrocity propaganda, or might support groups like the Houthis for their heroic actions in the Red Sea against a genocidal regime. The biggest issue, I think, is that Ethan manages to do all of this while still calling himself a stalwart ally to the Palestinians.
I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years.
This is what makes liberal Zionism so insidious. He is using humanistic appeals to things like peace and safety, but doing so in a way that distracts from the actual source of the problem. The problem is Zionism and the genocidal Israeli state. That is what's causing these problems. And people that might otherwise be able to understand if presented with the facts of the situation are simply led astray by people like Ethan, where a more right-wing Zionist might put off the average liberal with extremist claims and overtly genocidal language. A liberal Zionist draws you in with the facade of empathy. He wants to appear empathetic, as if he cares for these people, as if he doesn't ascribe to a genocidal ideology. So, in order to do that, he has to lie, and roping in otherwise progressive people into a death cult. Aside from this video being a nonsensical genocidal propaganda piece, it's also entirely unoriginal. The video is a culmination of a months-long campaign against Hassan and all these other creators and Twitch, the company, to smear them as terrorists and anti-Semites and get people, in trouble. The campaign began as a response to the suspension of the live streamer Asmongold.
Fuck Asmon.
Comments that explicitly justified Israel's genocide of Palestinians in Gaza.
I'm not going to cry a fucking river when people who have genocide that's baked into their laws are getting genocided. They come from an inferior culture. I don't feel bad for them. I don't feel sorry for them. I don't care. I don't support them.
Following his suspension for these comments,
you don't have to support them. Just shut the fuck up.
Creators, most notably the live streamer Destiny, along with his fan base, rushed to Asmongold's defense, whitewashing and justifying his comments.
Meanwhile, Asmongold gets a 15-day ban for having a spicy take on the war.
So you have someone like Asmongold who breathes the wrong direction, says the wrong
am
thing.
I like a broken white male? What the hell is with these guys? They're just like, we're in Israel's defense. We love genocide. It's just a spicy take on the war. And it's like, is there something wrong with me that I'm looking at them and I'm like, you all look the same. You all sound the same type of crazy. What the fuck are you doing? Seriously, am I doing the white male thing wrong? What the fuck?
Instantly gets banned.
In this situation, one could, if they were to extend the charitability
could say that Asmongold was probably referring to
There's Mudahar, right?
extremists in the Islamic religion. Extremists in the Islamic religion.
The case of Asmongold's suspension from Twitch was then weaponized against these pro-Palestine voices, most notably Hassan, in an effort to get him deplatformed. To do this, they compiled a number of short clips taken from Hassan's live streams, using them to accuse Hassan of things like supporting and promoting terrorism, allegedly denying October 7th sexual violence, and making anti-Semitic statements. Each one of the clips and their associated accusations can be traced back to prominent posts on Destiny's subreddit. Some of the clips were sourced from videos that criticized Hassan from well over a year ago. These clips were initially hosted on a website created by a member of the campaign called HamasPiker.com. Soon after, another website was created, DanClancySucks.com, a reference to the CEO of Twitch, Dan Clancy. Another goal of this campaign was to get him fired from the company. This site also hosts all of these clips with their associated allegations: anti-Semitism, terrorist promotion, and rape denial. Eventually, several major YouTubers in the usually apolitical commentary sphere made videos that signal boosted these allegations to millions of viewers. Most of these videos used the same clips, many of them directly citing this smear campaign's website.
There's a website known as DanClancySucks.com.
Or there's also a website that's been created called DanClancySucks.com that goes over it all.
Another website, Advertise on Twitch, shows a collection of ads playing before the dishonestly framed clips we've looked at, and the contact information of the companies is provided. It auto-loads a preset email with just one click, allowing participants in the campaign to mass spam these companies with the related smears. There were several motivations behind this campaign. There were direct material incentives. On YouTube for the past few years, there's a big industry that's exploded in popularity, and it's based on a simple concept: Hassan bad, Hassan Piker is bad, and he's dumb and bad and a terrorist, probably. We can call this the Hassanabi Dunk Video Industrial Complex. It's common for YouTubers during low view months to join in on the fun and make these types of videos, taking short clips from Hassan's thousands of hours of live streaming to misrepresent what he's saying, usually parroting the exact same talking points they're getting from the same YouTubers in the same community. They're watching each other's videos and making each other's videos. It's kind of like a perpetual cycle of dumb guy slop. It's interesting to
like
see YouTubers that typically
AI feeding off AI,
gaming content, randomly giving their,
because none of these guys have
on
natural
genocide and
intelligence, that's for
geopolitics,
sure.
But that's the result of such an ecosystem. It's not about the politics, it's about making money by attacking a guy they don't like. Because the guy in question happens to be a political content creator, they have to try to do politics. It's really funny to watch, honestly. It's also wild because the political content
It's funny,
creator
but it's
in
also
question
sad.
is an anti-genocide
What a
content creator,
waste
and the
of
arguments
human
they're attacking
potential.
him for are anti-genocide arguments. So these creators, they're positioning themselves in opposition to him and his arguments, de facto positioning themselves on the pro-genocide side. Anti-genocide is pro-genocide. It's quite the precarious predicament they've placed themselves in. Do they realize it? No. Do they care? Probably not, but that's what's happening. That's what they're doing. The success of Ethan's video, which garnered over 3 million views in its first month, is a testament to the algorithmic viability of Hassan bad content. Get in front of a politically illiterate American audience and call a pro-Palestine influencer a terrorist,
promoting hateful terrorist music videos,
terrorist propaganda videos,
terrorist propaganda video.
Collect big fat AdSense check. That's how it goes. And Ethan knew it would do well too, and made sure to get a sponsor for the video.
Thank you to ExpressVPN for sponsoring this video,
which was a VPN company that happens to be owned by an Israeli billionaire with a history of funding and supporting the IDF.
Good thing I stopped using them a while back.
Apparently he's not a Zionist, and he's pro-Palestine.
I've been a stalwart supporter of the Palestinian cause for many years.
A few years ago, Destiny was banned from Twitch. Since then, he has repeatedly attempted to be reinstated on the platform, and the latest attempt by using the campaign was probably the closest he's ever been in terms of putting pressure on the platform.
We're tired of your site changing the rules every week. Nobody knows what's going on. Get your shit together, unban Destiny, and fucking make a site
No, fuck
that people
Destiny.
actually want to go to.
It's fucking sexual predator.
2 weeks of my life, basically to Steve's cause.
You're talking about the Twitch thing?
Yeah, destroying Twitch.
Some of the motivations for the campaign are political in nature, though, obviously. Hassan Piker is one of the most prominent pro-Palestine voices on YouTube, and this campaign has been orchestrated by Zionists. The website that started this campaign, HamasPiker.com, doubled as a donation page for a prominent Zionist organization. Since learning about the existence of Israel on October 7th of 2023, Destiny has positioned himself as its #1 cheerleader, showing up to debates to defend the genocidal apartheid state using Zionist talking points and denying that a genocide genocide is taking place. On the Lex Friedman Israel-Palestine debate, Destiny justified Israel's slaughter of 4 Palestinian children in the Gaza beach bombings using talking points plucked directly from IDF spokespeople.
Those kids weren't just on the beach, as is often stated in articles. Those kids were literally coming out of a previously identified Hamas compound that they had operated from. They literally did. You can Google it. You can Google it.
With all due respect, you're such a fantastic moron. It's terrifying.
I left Finkelstein's iconic response in there because he is 100% correct. The events of that day were witnessed by dozens of journalists. There is no real dispute as to what happened, except from, of course, the party that slaughtered the children, which is Israel, and in turn, its propagandists, like Destiny.
A group of boys, cousins, playing on the beach. Now, were running for their lives. Until seconds later, another shell hit. Israel claimed it was firing on Hamas militants at the port, but the dead were 4 young boys.
He's also explicitly called for the genocide of Palestinians.
Honestly, I'm pro-genocide. It sounds really shitty, but I think that Israel should just draw up its fucking borders about where it is now, and basically Palestine.
I can't get over how I can't get
That's-
over how
that's
Sex
really
Pestany
shitty, but,
actually
that's a
unmasked
It's this
Jontron
guy
as a
and his
racist, and
community
then
who are the source for
did
every
this.
one of the arguments that Ethan makes in his video. Do stalwart advocates for Palestinians normally collaborate with advocates for Palestinian genocide? No, they do not, in my opinion. Destiny's podcast co-host Dan Saltman, the other main driver behind this campaign and the one spearheading the creation of these smear websites, is also a Zionist. Saltman promoted pro-Israel organizations like the ADL and Stopped Anti-Semitism, and Zionist politicians like Richie Torres, who shared and boosted the campaign. He consistently weaponizes Zionist talking points, like asserting that any reference to Zionism is actually just coded anti-Semitic language, the implication there being, of course, that criticizing Israel and Zionism is inherently anti-Semitic. That's a very common
which is all a
tactic.
Zionist
It's like
plan.
the Zionist tactic, in the West at least. Perhaps the most significant motivation, though, and indicative of the sort of unserious nature of this campaign, is just spite. These people all seem to have deep personal vendettas against Hassan and these other creators that should give one pause when considering
a
the
lot of them are
seriousness of the
millionaires, and
campaign
it's
that
just
they're
like
running.
God, he's so cringe. He's such a cringe loser. I would pay we'd raise $1 million to send this dude to go fight in Yemen, and then all of us would volunteer for the Navy. Holy shit, he's such a cringe.
Destiny has, for almost 5 years, just obsessively talked about Hassan on his channel. He's made video after video about him. The frequency of these videos increased after Destiny was banned from Twitch. In the span of time since then, he has uploaded almost 80 videos about Hassan out of a total of 450 videos. So that's at least 1/5 of his working life spent talking about Hassan. In contrast, in the same span of time, Hassan has uploaded over 1,200 videos, and he's talked about Destiny a total of 5 times. 5. 4 of them have come in the last few months while covering Destiny's role in this smear campaign and the credible allegations of sex crimes against him. So that's less than 1% of his coverage. This isn't an internet beef. Hassan has a stalker. With Ethan, I feel like
Hassan is a
moment that
content cow.
he started
They're
going
milking him.
into this direction, which was the moment that people started calling him racist for saying racist stuff. It was one argument he made where he compared Jewish voice for peace anti-Zionist activists to capos.
There was Jewish collaborators with fucking Nazis. that
Ethan,
were
don't do
formed.
that, please. Don't say that the Jews' voice for peace are akin to capos. That's.
I'm telling you that the mere existence of Jewish voices it's not a leg to stand on. I don't understand that.
The chat started calling him a Zionist freak because that's a Zionist freak thing to say. And then since then, he's sort of constructed an entire mind prison around the idea that he's not racist, and anyone calling him racist is actually the real racists. And because Hassan's community is politically oriented and is able to spot the racist rhetoric in question, that means they're all extremists and Hassan is leading them, so he's an extremist. And that Hassan and them are all the problem, and that he's a perfect angel, which is the direction he's taken, it seems like.
My only crime is wanting a 2-state solution instead of one, and thinking it's not okay to kill Israeli civilians. That's it. That's why they're calling
Nobody
me a
thinks
Nazi
that's
Zionist.
okay.
And now he's just totally gone off the
We
rails.
just think that
He
it's
spends
worse
most of
to
his
do a
time
genocide.
cowering in fear behind Instagram stories that people can't respond to. Every single one of the uploads on his personal YouTube channel in the last number of months have been targeted towards Hassan. He spent most of his live podcast talking about Hassan and calling him a terrorist and whatnot.
What is this? Bro, I have not. I think I I have not seen a single one of his fucking Instagram stories. I didn't know he was posting about me this much. Oh my God, every day? Every single day?
Yeah, Ethan went crazy.
No.
There was that one Instagram story where Ethan Klein was having to evacuate due to the wildfires or something, and he managed to make the post about Hassan and about how Hassan probably thinks it's awesome that his house might burn down while his family is in the background trying to evacuate the wildfires. Just wild. Ethan Klein has repeatedly denied any association with this campaign and Destiny or his community. That may have something to do with the recent credible allegations that Destiny is a sex criminal, but this is false. Ethan has been caught on his live podcast browsing the Destiny subreddit for arguments to use to attack Hassan. Leaked Discord logs show Dan Saltman admitting to exchanging emails with Ethan and the H3 team personally during the campaign. And even if there wasn't evidence of direct communication, the far more important connection is that Ethan is saying the exact same things, using the same out-of-context clips that everyone else used to call Hassan a terrorist or whatever. It's been a group effort. That's just what it is. So just a few final thoughts here. Zionism is Nazism. It's an ethnic supremacist, expansionist, colonial ideology. You can't have Zionism without genocide and ethnic cleansing. That's the end goal of the project. It's what it is. Palestinians are there, and for the Zionist project to be complete, they have to go. Starve them out, bomb them, destroy everything they need to live. Those are the methods. Those are what they're employing as we speak. And like Nazism, Zionism cannot be defeated through reform or debate. It must be destroyed from the outside through efforts made by the Palestinian people, the Palestinian resistance, and coalitions of allies. As history has shown, the downfall of these kinds of racist ideologies is possible, but Zionists cannot be a part of this process. They're Zionists. They uphold Zionism by spreading Zionist propaganda and spending all their time and effort attacking anti-Zionists, even as those anti-Zionists are actively fighting against a genocide that Zionism is the ideological pretext for. In the case of liberal Zionists like Ethan Klein, using his weird personal Zionist crash out as a jumping off point to educate people about the ideology that he adheres to is a great use of time, I think. And Bad Empanada has done a fantastic job with that. His videos have reached pretty wide audiences and
I gotta give him more
reality and history,
more of a watch.
The genocidal Zionist project. That's a really good thing. That's a really important thing that he's doing, and I think many of you can probably also help out with that. Most of you have smartphones and cameras and TikTok, so go ahead. Start posting about it. Spread the word. Aside from being a morally good thing to do, it's also becoming sustainable. It's algorithmically viable. The Ethan Klein crash out industrial complex is booming, and we can harness it as a propaganda machine to expose Zionism for the genocidal ideology that it is. You may have the feeling, as I often have, that the history books will look back upon these times and those who supported the Gaza genocide with shame and horror. The only problem with that is that these people feel no shame. They're here to make money and to convince themselves that they aren't evil. And the way they do that is by lying, by spreading liberal Zionist propaganda. It's profitable and it's easy and it's acceptable. You're allowed to say that you think all Palestinians should die.
I'm pro-genocide.
And still get invited to Jubilee as the resident liberal. You're allowed to do it and run your quirky, epic, silly podcast and make hundreds of thousands of dollars doing that because the Western media ecosystem encourages it. There will be no justice for the Palestinian people if all we do is watch content about what's happening. Consumption is not politics. There will be no justice for the victims of this genocide unless we all actively fight for it. From the position that most of the viewers of this video have, that's by using the resources and time to continue to speak out, preserve the record of what's actually happened in Gaza, name the perpetrators, and highlight and boost the voices that understand these facts more than anyone in the world. That is, the Palestinian people. Don't stop sharing their stories or contributing to direct aid. I'll leave a document below with some Palestinian voices and outlets that you should follow and campaigns to contribute to. In If I Must Die, Rafat El-Arir tells the story of Yasser Ashur, a young Palestinian survivor of Operation Cast Lead, Israel's late 2008 onslaught in Gaza. During Cast Lead, Israel bombed a UN school, which was also designated a safe zone, killing 44 civilians. Ashur was 14 at the time of the attack, and Israel killed 5 of his classmates and friends. Ever since the massacre, Ashur has tried to honor the memories of his classmates by exposing Israeli crimes. I run a few Twitter accounts with tens of thousands of followers. He said, "The battle for justice for Palestine over social media is crucial, and we have to win it. We don't have Israel's billions, but we have the power of the truth." And that's what we have. We have the truth. October 7th blew the lid off the genocidal Israeli project. October 7th is the reason you're here watching this video today. Israel's response to it has radicalized a generation of people by exposing the Israeli state and its backers in the West for what they are: depraved, ethnic supremacist, genocidal lunatics. That's the truth. We have all these tools to speak the truth, and now's the time to do that. So just do it. I don't know. Don't stop fighting for it. Free Palestine.
That was a really great piece by Noah. Yeah, finally got the subscription going. I am exhausted. I am going to bed. I appreciate anyone that came in to watch. Star Wars guy, I appreciate having chat with you. I'm looking forward to chatting with you going forward. I need to go to bed. I'm tired. Love you guys. Like and subscribe. I will be back when I'm back. If you had a good time, like and subscribe.